Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Others are living in the apocalypse, but I am invincible. Chapter 61. I'm afraid I will have to get rid of this serious problem in the future, but I can't do it now. Several men carried Fuchi home. Naturally, Tangzi didn't want to join in the fun and went back first. The cats at home were about to rebel and he didn't feed them much in the past 2 days. The three women said, "No, we can just take a rest." Feng Mengmeng and Fang Wei watched Tangzi go back, feeling a little disappointed. Thinking of Tangzi's cute and beautiful girlfriend, who seemed to be stronger than them, they felt inexplicably uneasy. What if Tangzi left without them in the future? Although Mr. Huo is dead now, there may be a second Mr. Huo in the future, and a third. Once this idea occurs, a woman will start to have random thoughts and become more and more anxious. Fang Wei didn't want to go home, so she simply came to Feng Mengmeng's house to chat. Although the TV was on, her mind was not on it. "Mengmeng, how do you think Tangzi killed Mr. Huo? How did he do it with so many people around Mr. Huo?" Fang Wei couldn't figure out how on earth he could do it with Tangzi's strength alone. And when the other party still has a gun. Feng Mengmeng sighed. "Maybe Tangzi is more complicated than we thought. Every time I see him smile, there is a feeling. Creepy, right? Wei Wei, you feel this way too. I thought I was the only one who did." Feng Mengmeng smiled helplessly, feeling that she was overthinking. Fang Wei clamped her proud long legs on the coffee table. "Maybe it's because he has killed people, so we feel this way. Maybe, I feel that Mr. Shi is a little afraid of him. Feng Mengmeng has been with Shi Meng for several years, and he captured a lot of details today, which he had never discovered before." Fang Wei sat up and asked nervously, "Now that Tangzi has a gun, will he control the entire community?" "I don't know. At least I can tell just now that Mr. Shi can still control him. If one day he can't control him anymore." Feng Mengmeng bit her lower lip, feeling that this place was getting more and more unsafe. Fang Wei also felt the same, especially when he was lingering with Tangzi. He had no intention of cherishing herself at all, he just used himself as a tool to vent, even though it was a transaction. "The more I think about it, the more I feel that Tangzi is unreliable. Those words he said after lingering are all lies, and he has to rely on himself." While chatting, the two women fell asleep on the sofa. He even had the same dream, and Tangzi came and opened his eyes directly. A warehouse on the outskirts of Huan City. The warehouse was brightly lit, and boxes of supplies were piled into a hill. The men were playing cards, drinking, and after drinking, they went into the small room next to them to solve problems. In the office on the second floor, a man in his 60s listened to reports from his subordinates. This man with graying sideburns is Mr. Qian Zongran. He is not a big boss, and he was not even qualified to carry Mr. Huo's shoes before. After all, he only owns a few large warehouses. But it's different now. The value of these warehouses is higher than gold, and everyone has to obey. And this is just one of the warehouses, with the least supplies. As for transporting supplies, Qian Zongran is given to his 2 sons. It is impossible for outsiders to know, and they control their lifeline. In addition, 2 shotguns are in the hands of the son, and the people below are more honest. "Dad, something happened over there with Huo Wanyan." Standing beside him was his eldest son Qian Ming. He was now 42, but he looked a little old-fashioned, almost like Qian Zongran. Qian Zongran frowned. "What happened? Someone was killed by Mr. Zai's people again. Didn't you give him a gun?" "Our little brother went to pick up the goods today, but when he entered the house, there were all corpses. Huo Wanyan's head was missing, and the ground was full of spray bullet casings, the same model as ours." Qian Ming's face was heavy. "The enemy is very strong." Qian Zongran's eyes shot out a venomous look. "It turns out there are people who have the same idea as us, but why would they rob Huo Wanyan?" "Dad, are you from Shi Meng?" "Haha, how could there be a gun in the community? Huo Wanyan must have provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked, so don't expose me." Qian Zongran was very angry. After all, his main focus was on obscene development. But young Qian Ming didn't think so. "Dad, we have guns in our hands. We can kill directly. Do we need to find others? Do you know that there is no more powerful person? It's only been a month now. The one who moves first will definitely die first. Look at Huo Wanyan, isn't something wrong? I wasted a gun and bullets. Even Xamang, not a single hair was seen. Qian Zongran can be considered an old pervert. I had witnessed Xi Meng's unparalleled elegance before. If it hadn't been for the disaster, I never would have thought that I would have the chance to taste that half of her red lips. But I don't want to do it myself for fear of being watched by others. Speaking of women, Qian Ming smiled and said, Dad, although Huo Wanyan is dead, the club is full of women. Although many died, we brought them all back, almost more than 60 of them. They are all between 20 and 30 years old, but they are a bit smelly and need to be cleaned up. Haha, Huo Wanyan has raised so many women, and he lied to me that he didn't have any. It's a good death. Don't waste too much water. Okay, Dad, how about I arrange one for you to try? Clean up and don't let your mother know. Don't worry. Qian Ming left the office, and there was a man lying on the guardrail smoking. It was Qian Pu, the second eldest brother, who was 2 years younger than Qian Ming. The two brothers looked very similar, both had faces with Chinese characters. However, Qian Pu obviously felt a bit more ferocious, and it could be seen from his eyes that he had killed many people during this period. What did Dad say? Qian Pu asked. Dad still advocates stability. Let us not worry about so many things and wait for a few more months to take action. How many more months should we wait? Qian Pu put out his cigarette and looked at his old father in the office, feeling dissatisfied. Brother, don't be so angry. Find a decent woman to vent your anger on. Qian Pu shook off Qian Ming's hand and said in a deep voice, Brother, you and Dad don't think about women all day long. The world has changed now. We have a lot of people and guns, so we must first occupy the territory. Be the first to get it. Then you have to be able to defend it. If you take in a lot of younger brothers, how many mouths will you have to open to eat? Don't always think about fighting and killing. Look at the brothers below. They have food, drink, and women to play with. How are they living their lives? Isn't it great? Brother, have you ever thought that if you don't kill others, others will come and kill you, and the warehouse in Dad's hands will be discovered sooner or later? Qian Ming said nothing after hearing this. His father advocated stability and his second son advocated killing. He was caught in the middle and was in a dilemma. Seeing that his elder brother was slightly relaxed, Qian Pu said in a low voice, Don't you like that woman Xi Meng? If I bring Xi Meng, help me ask if you can follow my plan. Brother, Dad is old. Old people like stability. Qian Ming sighed and could only go into the office again to ask. Qian Pu stood outside, looking at his father with strange looks from time to time. A few minutes later, Qian Ming walked out with a stern face, and Qian Pu felt bad. Suddenly, Qian Ming grinned and patted his younger brother on the shoulder. Dad said, If you can really bring Xi Meng, I will promise you. Isn't this right? If Huo Wanyan can't do it, I'll do it. Qian Pu twisted his neck, with a hint of arrogance on his face, not taking everyone seriously at all. But you still have to be more steady. Those people like Huo Wanyan died strangely. Maybe it was someone from Shanhu community who did it. Brother, you are worrying too much. There are really so many trolls in Shanhu community. They are not afraid of Huo Wanyan. There must be someone else. Qian Pu took out a cigarette and handed it to his eldest brother. The two of them lit it and started to swallow it. Breathing mist. Exhaling a puff of smoke, Qian Ming said seriously, Don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the worst. Bring more brothers. Since it's moving, it's not as simple as robbing a woman. The material search can be done in one step. That's just nonsense, big brother. It's not enough for Dad to grow up in a wretched way. He has to expand to take in his younger brother. Dad just wants to guard this 3/3 of an acre of land and be a local emperor. He brings 5 spray guns with 20 rounds of ammunition. Save some bullets and use knives as much as possible. Qian Pu shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, Brother, I know everything. Bullets are more valuable than anything now. 5 trolls, I scared them to death. When do you plan to take action? A hint of gloom appeared on Qian Pu's face, while they were sleeping. Good idea, Shanhu community. Tang Zi walked out of Feng Mengmeng's room and stretched out comfortably. The progress in the past few days has been good. The energy meter has increased to 7%, which is one step closer to the 3.0 gift package. On the sofa, Fu Qi was sitting with a slightly pale face, holding a glass of boiling water in his hand. Tang Zi is a man we can't keep. He is definitely not as simple as he appears. Everything he shows is fake. After Fu Qi finished speaking, he coughed and felt a lot weaker. On the other hand, Xi Meng's complexion is rosy and shiny recently, and the charm exuded by his whole person is even stronger, which makes his teeth itch. He is useful to me, Xi Meng said in a low voice, knowing that what her husband said made sense. Now that she thought about it carefully, it was doubtful that a man had 3 beautiful women. After all, women like Yi Qingyi are the targets of men's robbery. Tang Zi takes 3 at a time. Are all the people in their community dead and no one is going to rob him? It can only be said that he sneaks around alone. Come out. If we don't kill him now, we will be the ones who die in the future. If Tang Zi is dead, I won't be able to suppress those bosses, especially if Huo Wanyan is dead. They all want to be the boss. Are you stupid? Xi Meng leaned on the sofa helplessly and rubbed his hands. Rub your forehead. Fu Qi's eyes were fierce and he whispered, Tang Zi is dead, aren't the trolls ours? Are you afraid that those bosses will be dishonest? These words reminded Xi Meng, but the troll is in his own hands and the follower is in Tang Zi's hands, which are 2 completely different concepts. If Tang Zi comes later, pour him a glass of water and put some sleeping pills and he will be taken care of. You can't mess with this matter. I have to think about it. Xi Meng doesn't want to act rashly. Now there are fewer and fewer people around him who can use him. Fu Qi was furious when he heard this and yelled angrily, Ximeng, are you stupid? Before he came, there were so many people around you. Now, he is the only one around you. You do everything. You have to beg him, even though you are the boss of this Shanhu community, you are actually at his mercy. That's enough. Xi Meng's eyes widened. Ding dong, ding dong. At this time the doorbell rang. Fu Qi's heartbeat slowed down by half a beat. It couldn't be Tang Zi. Simone was also frightened. If Tang Zi heard what he just said, he would probably be shot twice when he entered the house. Open the door, Xi Meng shouted. Fu Qi clenched his fists tightly. As the door opened, Fu Qi saw Tang Zi smiling kindly at the door. I'm at home. Sister Xi wants to talk to me about something. Fu Qi blushed and squeezed out a few words through his teeth. I'm about to go out. That's it, I understand. Fu Qi walked out of the house without saying anything. Seeing Fu Qi's hurried look, Tang Zi closed the door and smiled at Xi Meng on the sofa. Sister Xi, I narrowly escaped death today. I almost came back from the gate of hell, and I almost didn't see you, sister. Quote. Xi Meng kept staring at Tang Zi, as if he wanted to see through Tang Zi's hypocrisy, and began to behave miserably when he entered the room, just to benefit from himself. You are getting bolder and bolder now. Xi Meng's tone was calm, not daring to say 2 harsh words, but he also expressed his dissatisfaction. Tang Zi put the troll on the coffee table and immediately sat next to Xi Meng. Sister Xi, if you don't want to, I'll leave now. It's just that I, Tang Zi, trusted the wrong person. Simone's red lips were trembling slightly, threatening me and saying that I was not trustworthy. I wanted to control him with myself, but now I am being manipulated by him. Okay, I'll just leave. You have to pay attention to your safety in the future. With that, Tang Zi picked up the troll and stood up to leave. Return. Tang Zi stopped and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Xiao Yi, I'm not threatening anyone, I'm planning to leave. Sister Xi, Tangs, I'm not such a casual man. Ximeng, I can actually say this. Isn't it okay that I was wrong? Isn't that right? Isn't it so difficult for a girl to admit her mistake? Fu Qi was in an extremely bad mood and could only go downstairs. He wanted to find Feng Mengmeng to reassure him, so he opened the electronic lock door directly. It was dark inside the house. Fu Qi turned on the living room light and saw clothes scattered on the sofa. A bad premonition welled up in Fu Qi's heart. He strode to the bedroom and turned on the light. Everyone was dumbfounded. The light was dazzling, causing Fang Wei to cover her eyes. Don't turn on the light, it's so dazzling. Mr. Fu. Fang Wei finally saw clearly at this time and hurriedly covered the quilt. Feng Mengmeng also woke up faintly and was startled when she saw Fu Qi standing at the door. After a while, Feng Mengmeng said helplessly, Brother Fu, why are you here suddenly? Ha ha ha. Fu Qi suddenly became a little crazy, covering his face and laughing wildly. We just want to save our lives, and we each get what we need. Feng Wei said lightly. Are you really so naive as to think that Tang Zi will protect your lives? It was all a lie by him. He deceived you good-looking girls. Even my wife was deceived. All of you were deceived by him. How stupid. They're all idiots. Feng Mengmeng suddenly said. Brother Fu, why don't you come with us? Mengmeng. Feng Wei scolded immediately. Brother Fu is trustworthy, and we two girls are too dangerous. Feng Wei was a little angry and turned her head to look away. Let's go. Where? Fu Qi asked in confusion. Feng Mengmeng whispered. Actually, Brother Tang drove here. His car was parked not far away and he gave us the car keys. What? Fu Qi couldn't believe it and verified his guess. It was indeed premeditated. It felt like the car keys were all fake. It's impossible, it must be fake, lying to you girls. Feng Mengmeng took out her car keys, pointed out the window and pressed the button. Car lights suddenly appeared in the dark alley not far away, which was particularly obvious in the dark night. It's true. Fu Qi was shocked again, wondering if Tang Zi was stupid for actually giving the car keys to the two of them, showing such trust. Is he really smart or fake? But Fu Qi was still confused and asked, since he is willing to take you away, why do you want to leave secretly? Because I feel that Brother Tang is very dangerous. Besides, there are 3 girls around him. They are all prettier than us. Sooner or later, they will be abandoned. Feng Wei's friend said that there is a shelter in Zonglin City nearby, and we plan to go there. Quote. Fu Qi felt that it did make sense. The two of them were average to above average in appearance, and compared to the other 3, they were a little lacking. But I always feel like something is wrong, but I can't figure it out. When do you plan to leave? Fu Qi asked. Now. Fu Qi was shocked and wanted to leave, but he couldn't leave his wife with the devil. Isn't it too hasty? Feng Wei said in a deep voice. Now we are the only ones who know that Tang Zi is in your house, so we will not be discovered. Feng Wei's words were like a knife piercing into Fu Qi's heart, as if to say, what would such a wife do? If it weren't for her, I wouldn't want to take you. Feng Wei said coldly, put on clothes and went to prepare supplies. Brother Fu, come with me. Feng Mengmeng begged. After all, he was really good to himself before the apocalypse, and he will be the same even after the apocalypse. He is a trustworthy man. Fu Qi immediately gritted his teeth. Instead of staying here and waiting to die, it was better to leave, okay. The 3 of them immediately packed some supplies and put on the raincoats and shoes provided by Tang Zi. Fu Qi was wearing Tang Zi's suit. It seemed to fit him very well. Fu Qi had the illusion that this was prepared for him. Taking advantage of the darkness, the 3 of them quietly came to the first floor and walked out directly. The light rain hitting the raincoats made a death sound, but the 3 of them also knew that after taking this step, there was no turning back, and they walked firmly towards the gate of the community. Tang Zi on the other side put on his pants and smiled at Xi Meng. I'm going back first. Xi Meng's beautiful face was covered with redness, and she didn't even have the energy to answer. Tang's left with the troll in hand and immediately returned to his room, startling the 3 big cats who were watching TV. Our bet begins now. Tang Zi entered the room and said with a faint smile. And Bai was suddenly surprised and said, are those 2 girls really planning to run away? Sun Ting smiled lightly and said, as expected, human nature cannot stand the test. Then they won't call you Mr. Shi. Yi Qingyi frowned and whispered, not caring about those 2 girls at all. There was only one end for betrayal. Because Xi Meng's husband is also planning to run away with them. Now let's see if Fu Qi will ask Xi Meng to run with him. If Fu Qi doesn't call and Xi Meng keeps her without knowing it, you win. It was a rare moment for Tang Zi to be generous, so as not to say that he had bullied them. Yi Qingyi suddenly regained his composure. Knowing that Tang Zi had released some water for him, he immediately kissed him to express his gratitude. Sister Yi doesn't shy away from suspicion now. Xiao Bai immediately teased. Tang Zi took out the monitor, and the 4 of them waited quietly for the result. Yi Qingyi also became nervous. If he lost, the consequences could be imagined. In the dark alley, the 3 people found the modified Tank 300. Especially when I saw the tracked wheels, I was convinced that it was possible to drive over. Opening the trunk, there were actually several boxes of mineral water and various vacuum-packed foods. Get in the car and leave quickly. Fang Wei urged, staying here for a long time. After all, this is considered stealing Tang Zi's car. If he is caught, his head will be chopped off. Fu Qi drove, Feng Mengmeng sat in the passenger seat, and Fang Wei sat in the back. Don't turn on the lights. Fang Wei reminded. Fang Wei's voice also reached Tang Zi, and Tang Zi couldn't help but sigh. Actually, I have a pretty good impression of them, but it's a pity that they still ran away behind my back. I really gave up my stable life. Sun Ting sighed. And Tang Zi suddenly laughed and said, actually, you can try it and see if you can run away. If you really run away, then you are considered capable. Tang Zi's words frightened the three girls so much that their faces turned pale, and they hurriedly snuggled up to Tang Zi's side. It's just a joke, I'm trying to scare you. I hate it, master. In the car, Fu Qi started the car. The roar was still loud, but at this moment Fu Qi couldn't help but think of his beautiful wife. Why don't you bring my wife with you? With her status, it will be easier for us to talk when we go to Zonglin City. After all, Zonglin City also has her property. Fang Wei immediately said, no, what if she tells Tang Zi? Brother Fu is right. If Zonglin City is safe, Mr. Shi will have influence and we can live well. Fang Wei laughed angrily. Feng Mengmeng, his wife is here, what does she want from you? If Shi Meng knows that you are a mistress, why not kick you to death? Fu Qi immediately said, I promise not to, Mengmeng, you have to believe me. Well, of course I believe that Brother Fu, you are the most powerful. When Fu Qi heard this, he felt as if he was possessed by Superman. He took out his mobile phone and called his wife. The mobile phone on the coffee table buzzed, but the buzzing of the mobile phone made Ximeng very unhappy. When he picked up the mobile phone, he saw that it was still his husband calling, which made him even more unhappy. Can't he just let himself be quiet for a while? What are you doing? You haven't come back yet. Honey, pack up and go downstairs immediately. I found Tang Zi's car, which is completely modified. Ximeng woke up instantly and stood up excitedly, but then frowned and sat down. How did you find it? Don't ask so many questions. Just come downstairs and I'll bring the car inside. Ximeng's mind was confused and he didn't know how to make a decision. Don't think about it, it's too late if you don't leave now. Zonglin City next to it is safe. You have property there, so you don't have to stay here to worry. This sentence still applies. If it is really safe over there, you can indeed go there. But true or false, now that he is controlled by Tang Zi, he can do whatever he wants. This kind of result is not what he wants. Breaking away from his clutches may be the right choice. Without any unnecessary words, Shi Meng said in a deep voice, okay, see you downstairs, I'll tidy up. As Shi Meng's words entered Yi Qingyi's mind, she felt as if she had lost her soul. She had lost. Yuyu could not be saved, and her fiancé would also die. Tang Zi gave him a helpless look, but he was willing to admit defeat. It's just a pity for Shi Meng. Sister Shi, you are really confused this time. Xiaobai comforted. Sister Yi, don't be sad. Sun Ting also sighed, and finally Shi Meng chose to leave. Yi Qingyi originally thought that Shi Meng was a very smart woman and would definitely choose to stay with a strong person, but he never expected that Shi Meng was unwilling to submit to a strong person. She wanted to become a strong person herself. My condolences. Tang Zi patted Yi Qingyi's shoulder. Sun Ting and Xiaobai also cast the same look. They are lucky enough to be able to save themselves in this world. Shi Meng was ready at this time, standing on the first floor looking outside, and also sent a message to Fu Qi. And Fu Qi also drove towards this direction. Fang Wei looked at the neighborhood getting closer and closer, and her fear continued to rise. She was afraid that she would see Tang Zi appear and shoot one by one. At this moment, I even saw Shi Meng on the first floor. And Ximeng also saw the car approaching, and he became excited. Don't go. Fang Wei suddenly grabbed the steering wheel, and Fu Qi quickly braked to a stop, which made Shi Meng stunned. What are you doing? We almost hit it. Fu Qi shouted angrily. If it crashed, everyone would die. Fang Wei said in a deep voice, a woman who has changed her heart will do anything. Tang Zi is already waiting nearby. As long as we go over, we will be beaten to death by Tang Zi. Feng Mengmeng looked at the first floor. This angle was indeed a bit awkward. Not only Feng Mengmeng was scared, but Fuqi was also the same. Everyone had seen Tang Zi's methods. Fuqi, you have an idea about how your wife treats you. With Feng Mengmeng accompanying you, are you any worse than her? Now that you have taken the risk to take over this ancestor, you still have to face such a person who won't treat you. Be a man's woman. She can even ignore your feelings for the sake of power. Is such a woman worth the risk to save her? After hearing this, Fuqi grabbed the steering wheel tightly and struggled wildly in his mind. Why isn't it worth it? She is also my wife. Fuqi shouted in a tearful tone. After saying that, he directly engaged the reverse gear and stepped on the accelerator. I'm sorry, I really can't forgive you. Simon stood there blankly, watching the oncoming car suddenly move away. Why didn't he come to pick him up? He took out his cell phone and called Fuqi immediately. Come here, I'm sorry, I can't pass this test in my heart. After hearing this, Shimeng smiled sadly. Who did I do this for? I sacrificed so much, and you left me alone, and you just took your mistress away. Although it was dark, Shimeng still couldn't help but smile. You can see that sitting in the passenger seat is your secretary, Feng Mengmeng. You betrayed me. Fuqi roared. You betrayed me too. Shimeng couldn't control his emotions at once, and the only relative around him abandoned him. Brother-in-law, come back quickly, sister is waiting for you. A voice like coming from the abyss sounded from behind. Shimeng turned back to look at Tang Zi, and the three women behind Tang Zi. Yi Qingyi, who was originally ashen-faced, was now smiling. Sun Ting and Xiaobai were also happy for Yi Qingyi, because as long as Shimeng stayed, it would mean that Yi Qingyi had won. Of course, Tang Zi still has to fight for it, just in case he can win. But after hearing Tang Zi's voice, it was estimated that 100 Kuns would not be able to pull Fuqi back. You, take care of yourself. Sure enough, Fuqi hung up the phone after hearing Tang Zi's voice. Ximeng collapsed on the ground, leaving himself alone in hell. Hee hee, Shimeng suddenly laughed. Tang Zi squatted next to him and touched Shimeng's head. Sister Shi, why are you crying? Don't touch me. Shimeng reached out and slapped Tang Zi's hand away. This is my favorite sister Shi. Look, I have a button here that can stop the car. Tang Zi stretched out his hand, but before he finished speaking, Shimeng grabbed it and pressed it. In the car, Fuqi, who was driving, suddenly heard a beeping sound. Did you hear anything? The beeping sound became more and more urgent. Feng Mengmeng and Fang Wei looked at each other, and a bad premonition emerged from the bottom of their hearts. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the night was instantly illuminated by flames, making it look so dazzling. The dark buildings around them turned on their lights one after another to see what was going on. I saw a ball of fire at the intersection, which looked like a burning car. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but a head flew over and rolled down next to me. Isn't this my brother-in-law? The remote control in Simon's hand fell to the ground, and he became dazed, looking at her husband's head with beautiful eyes. Before I finished speaking, Sister Shi, you blew up my brother-in-law to death. Press once to explode, press twice to stop. Why are you in such a hurry? Tang Zi sighed. At this moment, Shimeng felt a surge of anger in his heart. This anger was not because of the death of her husband, but because of the game between herself and Tang Zi. She had lost miserably, and even ended up blowing up her husband with her own hands, causing his head to fly in front of her. Never failed so much. There has never been. Tang Zi. Shimeng immediately rushed towards Tang Zi, as if he wanted to eat Tang Zi's flesh. Sure enough, Tang Zi was about to become Tang Monk. However, before he threw Tang Zi down, Xiaobai suddenly reached out and grabbed Shimeng's hair. Mr. Shi, you can't be rude to the master. Sun Ting was more direct. She raised her hand and slapped her face directly, which also woke up the angry Shimeng. Sister Shi, what are you looking at? I don't owe you anything. After all, we have always used each other, haven't we? You're playing tricks on me. Simon couldn't accept that he was being played like a clown, and yet he thought he was in control of the situation. Tang Zi shook his head. Actually, I gave you many opportunities, but you cared too much about your own rights. You didn't want to lose this superior position, which led to the current situation, and you let me lose. Tang Zi's words touched the bottom of Shimeng's heart. He really didn't want to lose, and Shimeng also had a greater ideal in his heart, to become the modern Wu Zetian. You lost. What do you mean? Xiaobai smiled obediently and said, because before we came, we bet on whether you would stay or leave in the end. Shimeng never expected that. He thought he was a hunter, but in the end he was their prey, and he could not get up after losing. Yi Qingyi, I took you in kindly, but you are treating me like this. If the Zhang family knows what you have done, they will definitely kick you out of the house. Yi Qingyi said softly, the Zhang family is not that important to me. Besides, I also have people to protect. Tangs yawned. That's almost it. Go home and go to bed, game over. No, I didn't lose. I was just careless. Tang Zi looked at Yi Qingyi and said, you will be in charge of her from now on. If anything goes wrong with her, you will also be responsible. I understand. Yi Qingyi understood what this meant and had experienced it himself. Also, it's so loud in the middle of the night. It's not good to disturb the neighbors' rest. Civilization starts with us. Yi Qingyi nodded and said to Shimeng, stop yelling. Yi Qingyi, you must die a happy death. With a snap, Yi Qingyi slapped her back. You took me in, didn't you also want to profit from the Zhang family? Don't say that you are so kind. Simon was stunned by these words, but he still refused to give in. I didn't lose. I, Simon, have never lost, and I will never let you succeed. Tang Zi stopped, and the other three women also stopped, thinking to himself that Mr. Shi would never have a good life in the future. Then I'll give you another chance. Tang Zi turned to look at Shimeng, feeling lucky that he was magnanimous and fortunately didn't turn into a murderer. The road is behind you. Do you want to die with dignity or live happily like a cat? Please make your choice. Ximeng stayed where he was, and then shouted, I would rather die than become a cat for you. After saying that, Shimeng ran outside. This made the three women stunned. They didn't expect Shimeng to be such a strong woman. They immediately admired her, especially Yi Qingyi. She was still not as good as her. Faced with the decision of life and death, she chose to be dignified. One item, but he bowed his head towards death. Not only the three women, Tang Zi also did not expect that even if the end of the world comes, there will be strong women who are not afraid of power, and he admires them. Just when the four of them were feeling emotional, Shimeng suddenly stopped and stood on the edge. The corners of the mouths of the four people twitched. They were quite impressed just now, but they suddenly stopped again. Ximeng is scared. Standing on the edge, I couldn't lift my feet no matter what, as if I was being pressed down by a jack. Be careful, if you get splashed by the rain, you will die. Tang Zi also reminded him kindly, which really frightened Shimeng so much that he took a step back. People are afraid of death after all, and even more afraid of meaningless death. Sister Shi, you impressed me again. Tang Zi said lightly, but these words were like a knife inserted into Shimeng's chest, and he didn't even have the courage to die. Shimeng looked at Tang Zi fiercely and asked, what on earth are you going to do? What use am I to you? Compared with those girls who throw themselves into my arms, I personally prefer those who are rebellious and sinister, because I will let them get on the right track in life and give them wholehearted help and love. Look at them, now they are fully adapted to it. Once you learn the way of the end of the world, you will no longer be bullied by anyone except me. The last three words are the essence. Ximeng said that he has never seen such a shameless person. His husband is right, this is his true face. If he had just listened to his husband and drugged him, now it is another person, a situation. Sister Shi, there is still a long way to go in the future. You are a smart woman. Simon said coldly. Don't you know that smart women are also stubborn? We used to use each other, but now you have no use value to me, and you can't let me be your dog. I told you not to be a dog, but a cat. Is there any difference? Simon couldn't help but curse. Xiaobai said weakly. Of course, cats are so cute. Shimeng was immediately speechless. This Anbai looked weak and weak. If he wanted to run away, he would probably have to attack her. However, when Anbai took out a silenced version of USP and put it on his temple, Shimeng's face instantly turned pale. Sister Shi, you must be obedient. Shimeng finally understood that this Anbai said the weakest words and did the cruelest things. No wonder Tang Zi said that they had adapted to the life of the apocalypse. What's more, they also have guns. I didn't know before that they were searched when they entered the community. Where did the guns come from? Could it be that Tangs brought them in from outside? Xiao Bai, she is not under your control, Tang Zi reminded. And Bai made a pitiful cry and put the gun into his down jacket. Let's go, Examang, don't let me do it, Yi Qingyi said calmly. You are truly a good daughter-in-law of the Zhang family. There was a snap. Simon covered his cheek. This was already the third slap in the face tonight. I'll say it again, I have nothing to do with the Zhang family. He is my master and yours. Hee hee, you guys are being mean, I'm not that mean. These words ignited the anger of the three girls. Tang Zi teased, Mr. Shi, it seems that you are going to have a difficult time in the future. What are you doing? Let me go. Without saying a word, Sun Ting knocked Shimeng unconscious. It was really noisy to death. On the other side, a suburban warehouse. The 3 trucks are ready, and the tires have been changed to crawler type, but they look like they have been unloaded from the excavator and the modifications are very rough. Qian Pu stood on the table with a shotgun in his hand, glanced at the hundreds of people around him and shouted, Brothers, let's go do something big tonight. Everyone should have heard of Shanhu Community, our community in Huan City where rich people live. As soon as these words came out, the boys were excited. I heard there are so many beauties. Maybe there are celebrities living there. Rich people must have hidden a lot of food, drink, supplies and beauties. This ticket is great, Qian Pu said with a sinister smile. Yes, this mission is to search for supplies. If the man resists, he will be killed, and if the woman is captured, what's more important is to capture the boss of Shanhu Community, Shimeng. Could she be the real estate queen of Huan City? I heard that she is as beautiful as a fairy. What man wouldn't be confused by those breasts? I saw it on TV, and it happened on the spot. This statement immediately caused laughter. Qian Pu shouted loudly, Yes, it's her. From now on, in Shanhu Community, you can live in whichever room you want. Each person will get 2 wives. As long as you do a good job, you will get twice as many wives. Oops, the shouts continued. Once upon a time, it was a problem for these men to get a wife. Not only did they need a bride price, but they also needed a house. But now they can directly allocate houses and wives. As long as they are ruthless enough, they can marry 17 or 18 without any problem. What, you mean the bride price? Does this butcher's knife look like a bride price? Let's go. Following Qian Pu's order, everyone boarded the car excitedly. Qian Ming came over and warned, Pay attention to safety and don't save bullets too much. Life is more important. Just wait for my good news. After all, the richer people are, the more they are afraid of death. They are just like a mob. Qian Ming smiled and patted Qian Pu on the shoulder. When you return in triumph, the most beautiful woman has been prepared for you. Qian Pu hummed. Compared to women, Qian Pu preferred the pleasure brought by power. It was already early in the morning, and the Shanhu community was silent. Everyone had fallen asleep. There were only 4 people on duty in the underground parking lot, and they were all dozing off out of boredom. In the room, Tang Zi sat on the sofa, holding his chin and admiring instructor Yi's performance. After all, Yi Qingyi was also experienced and had received profound guidance from Sun Ting. But this time the target is the strong woman Shimeng, and it won't take a few words to make her obedient. Sun Ting was massaging Tang Zi's thighs and asked curiously, Master, how do you know that Fuqi's lover is Feng Mengmeng? Haha, I feel like there is something wrong at Fuqi's house. He flirts with me and will definitely steal my car. It won't stand the test. Sun Ting quickly praised him several times. Tang Zi was testing people all the time. Once he failed the test, he would be shattered to pieces. You want me to join you in your dreams? Shimeng has a strong willpower and has been resisting from the moment he woke up. Yi Qingyi said in a deep voice, What does it mean to be complicit? In the end of the world, women are no match for men. They have become commodities and accessories. But as long as we unite, we can survive. Don't you understand this? Haha, aren't you just accessories? What's the use of talking grandly? Sun Ting smiled and suggested, Yi, you have to use my method. Isn't it too cruel? Xiaobai said softly, always looking like a weak little person, and people felt pity for him when he saw him. Hearing this, Shimeng paused slightly. Tang Zi stood up and stretched out, shouting Ting, come with me. Come on. Sun Ting was slightly happy. This was the first time she was asked to go to the bedroom. And Bai and Yi Qingyi on the side were slightly surprised. After all, this was the first time. Soon there was a slight sound in the bedroom, which made Xiaobai envious. You should call me next time. You have been brainwashed by him. Yi Qingyi said calmly. Without him, we would have died in the community a long time ago. You have never seen how chaotic an ordinary community is. There is no bottom line. Yes, without him, my body might not be spared. Ximeng was very surprised. Is it such an exaggeration? Yi Qingyi persuaded in a low voice. As long as you follow him, you don't have to worry about supplies, and you don't have to worry about being kidnapped by men. As long as you serve him well, you will be inferior to one person and superior to 10,000 people. Will he not die? You are really dreaming. Master will not die, Xiaobai said firmly, but in Ximeng's eyes, this little girl has gone crazy, and only Yi Qingyi still maintains a little sanity. Ximeng sneered. If he can't die, is he still immortal? Yi Qingyi's beautiful eyes turned cold. Ximeng, I'm not afraid to tell you that we have killed people before coming here, and the master has emptied 2 communities. You should be lucky to have such a face, otherwise your end will be like that. Feng Mengmeng is the same as Fang Wei. Saying that, Yi Qingyi grabbed Ximeng's chin. Why do you think the master comes back with Huo Wanyan's head? If he wanted to, no one in this community would be alive. After all, Ximeng has never experienced a harsh environment. He doesn't know what it means to ask for help in despair. He had never even seen a corpse before Tangzi came. In Sun Ting's words, Ximeng is still a flower living in a greenhouse, with nothing but passion. All ideas are so naive. Especially if you plan to take someone to see Huo Wanyan, it is no different than trying to escape a tiger's mouth. These days, the word, credibility, has long been thrown into the sewer. Half an hour later, Sun Ting walked out of the bedroom naked, with a blush on her delicate face that did not fade away. She lay directly on the carpet, covered her with a blanket and whispered, "Please keep your voice down." Xiaobai pursed her red lips and joked, "You were so loud just now." Sun Ting just smiled and fell asleep directly. Tangs also slept soundly in the bedroom. After all, taking it before going to bed can help you sleep. You guys sleep here at night? Simon couldn't believe it. Isn't there a bedroom? You don't even sleep on a bed. Yi Qingyi said calmly, "This is the rule. I would rather die than break the rules." Xiaobai pointed to the balcony. "No, just jump down. No one will stop you from seeking death." Zimeng's mouth twitched. "You are really a troublemaking little princess. I wonder if this is an adjective. Isn't it enough to express dissatisfaction? Think about it for yourself. If you can't figure it out, don't blame me tomorrow." Yi Qing gave the ultimatum in accordance with the law. He couldn't let Ximeng delay his time to save people. Yuyu was still waiting for him. But before going to bed, Yi Qingyi put a collar on Ximeng to prevent him from running away. As the lights in the living room went out, Simon pulled the collar around his neck, but there was no way to remove it. "I have become a prisoner. How on earth can I escape?" If Ximeng had experienced what happened to Yi Qingyi, maybe he wouldn't be so naive as to run away now, and he wouldn't be able to run away at all. Tangzi had given him a chance before, but Ximeng himself called Tangzi back. After all, he was still to blame. If Tangzi had not been called at that time, Tangzi would not have stayed. But Tangzi knew that this woman, Ximeng, was greedy for power. As sleepiness came over, Ximeng curled up and fell asleep in the corner, thinking about how to negotiate and bargain with Tangzi, unaware that a bloody battle was about to come. At 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 trucks had appeared not far from the community. The eyes of all the men in the cars were flashing with excitement and they were not sleepy at all. They held the knife handle tightly in their right hand. A few mature men tied the knife handle with cloth in the palm of their hand. "Go up, lest you let go. Boss, look over there." The man driving the car looked to the side. Qianpu looked around and saw a car casing overturned on the green belt, and there seemed to be a burnt person in the passenger seat. "What's so interesting about this? Have you never seen the dead people in the car?" Qianpu lit up a cigarette and said disdainfully. "But it looks like the car was bombed. How do you know it was fried and burned?" "That's how it's done in movies." Qianpu chuckled. "Watch less movies, they are all fake." "Boss, I felt my heartbeat was a little fast. When I came out, I made a fortune telling that it was a bad omen. Qian Pu burst out laughing. Call out the bad omen and see if I, the troll, can change it into good luck. While talking, they had already driven to the side of the community. Go straight into the underground garage. After saying that, Qian Pu picked up the shotgun and loaded the bullet. In the garage, the man on duty was fast asleep. Even the man watching the door on the floor was asleep. Even if he was not asleep, it would be difficult to notice that the 3 trucks did not even turn on the lights, and they were not conscious at all. Death is coming soon. With a bang, the car blocking the door was knocked open, which startled the dozing man. He just stared blankly at the 3 trucks stopping, as if he hadn't woken up yet. Bang bang bang, as the cargo box door opened, men with evil smiles jumped out one after another, holding sharp knives in their hands. What are you going to do? The man on duty finally reacted, and the kitchen knife in his hand was shaking slightly. A burly man walked directly over. His ferocious aura scared the man's whole body to stiffness. What are you doing? I'm going to chop you. After that, he chopped directly towards the neck. Puff. The head was not cut off, but the main artery was cut, and blood spurted out. The latter's eyes widened. He couldn't believe this was true. Did he just die like this? Qian Pu jumped out of the car with a troll in hand. Haha, you have no fighting ability. That Huo Wanian is such an idiot. He can't even handle this kind of community. One man died tragically, and several other men on duty fell to their knees in fear. Brother, we are the owners. We are on duty tonight. Don't kill us. Don't kill me, I'll kowtow to my eldest brother. I'll knock too. Qian Pu hooked his fingers, and the boy next to him handed an axe to Qian Pu's hand. Qian Pu raised his arms and struck the man in the middle with his axe. He wanted to show off his decapitation to his younger brothers, but it also served as a deterrent. Unexpectedly, it was not cut off and stuck on the cervical spine, but the blood dyed the faces of the 2 men next to them red. One was frightened and fainted, and the other was so frightened that all his feces and urine gushed out. Mom, pull your ass, go back and give it a good grinding. Yes, yes, the younger brother responded quickly. Obviously he had been through it when he came out. Qian Pu kicked the man down who had sprayed out his feces and urine. Do you know where Shimeng lives? I know. I know you still don't lead the way. I really don't know how you made money in the past. You are like a fool. Qian Pu's words made the younger brothers burst into laughter. This is not the case for rich people. A month ago you ignored us, but now you are kneeling on the ground begging for mercy. Thanks to this end of the world, we, the lower class people, have a place to turn around. Soon, Qian Pu came to Shimeng's door. The locksmith was about to open the door, but was stopped by Qian Pu. After all, she is the real estate queen of Huan City, so you have to be polite. After speaking, Qian Pu rang the doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong. After waiting for 5 minutes, Qian Pu's expression became worse and worse. It seems they don't accept our politeness, so let's do something. The lock was opened immediately, and the boys who entered the room were immediately surprised by the decoration in front of them. As expected of a boss, it felt like they were living in a palace. Qian Pu rushed to the bedroom immediately, but there was no one there. Boss, there is no one. Neither do I have one here. There's no toilet either. Qian Pu's face instantly turned cold and he shouted, "Where's the man?" After speaking, he looked at the man leading the way. This is really Simone's home, I didn't lie to you. Qian Pu laughed and said, "Kill him to death." No, don't, no. The screams gradually disappeared, the expensive floor was flowing with blood, and the smell of blood suddenly filled the living room. Okay, follow me and hide and seek, then dig through the whole neighborhood. Yes, boss. Shimeng, who was sleeping soundly at this time, vaguely heard some noises. He thought he was sleeping on a soft big bed, but when he opened his eyes, he realized that he was leaning in the corner. As the noise became more and more obvious, Ximeng couldn't help but frown. What happened? A bad premonition welled up in Ximeng's heart, and she finally couldn't help shouting, "Hey, wake up! Wake up!" Yi Qingyi dreamed that he received Yueyu, but when he was called like this, his dream was suddenly shattered. What are you yelling about in the middle of the night? Sun Ting was also woken up and was so angry that she wanted to be shot. Listen, something seems to have happened outside, Shimeng said quickly. Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting listened carefully, and there was indeed a sound of smashing. Don't be too familiar with this sound. Xiao Bai, wake up. Sun Ting patted Xiao Bai's butt. And Bai rubbed his eyes. Have you eaten? Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi snorted. What Xiao Bai mentioned most all day long was eating. Someone is coming to attack the building, Sun Ting said with a smile. And Bai was stunned and suddenly became excited. That's great. After saying that, he picked up his gun, checked the bullets skillfully, and pressed the silencer. Simon looked blankly at the three women in front of him. They were not afraid at all, and they were still looking forward to it. They can still laugh. Have they really killed someone? Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi also took out their guns. Their skillful movements stunned Shimeng. Are what they said before true? Turn off the lights, Sun Ting said softly. And Bai turned off the light, and the three of them continued to sleep covered with blankets as if nothing was wrong. Hey, what are you doing? Simone was almost anxious. The noise was getting closer and closer, which means it will be here soon. Do you still pretend not to see it? And Bai stretched out her index finger. Shish, don't talk. You. Suddenly, the door lock made a slight sound, and someone was unlocking it. Simone's heart dropped into her throat. Are they crazy? They are still pretending to be asleep after what time of year? At this time, Shimeng didn't have the courage of the three women to force himself to calm down. As the door was opened, the light from outside came in, and the lights in the living room came on again. Hey, there are people sleeping in the living room. A man's voice came in, and Simon also saw three men at the door, all holding knives in their hands, with a look of ferocity on their faces. They are definitely not from the community. They were really right, people from outside came in. The three men also saw Shimeng next to the sofa and were stunned for a moment. One of them took out his mobile phone to check. What the hell, I'm actually hiding here. Ha ha ha, it's really strange that the queen of real estate is put on a leash. I know how to play, and I'm very cool. Although the frivolous words of the three men made Ximeng angry, he did not dare to say anything at this time and just watched them walking over. What the hell, there are three top women, and they are still sleeping. Doesn't this correspond to our three brothers? Then let's feel comfortable before talking about it. As he spoke, he was about to lift off the blanket covering the three women, but never expected that a dark muzzle protruded from the blanket. The three men froze on the spot, and Bai suddenly opened her beautiful eyes and said softly, how about you let me feel good first? Bu made a sound. One shot directly hit the nearest center point of the man's triangle. Ah! The man's scream woke up Tang Zi in the bedroom. When the other two men saw this, they were stunned for 2 seconds and ran wildly outside. Who would have thought that three stunning girls actually had guns? With a few Bu sounds, the two men were shot several times in the legs and fell to the ground. The blood immediately stained their pants. Ximeng was stunned. These three women were so fierce. Faced with such desperate men, who even dared to let them in, and with such shooting skills, were they soldiers before? The three women stood up wrapped in blankets. Their delicate bodies could only be admired by their masters, not other men. Sun Ting came to the man who was covering his crotch, pointed the black muzzle between his eyebrows, and said in a cold voice, Who are you, who is the boss, and what are you doing here? What the hell, you stinky woman, don't even think of asking anything from my mouth. Bu. Sun Ting directly shot the man in front of her head, and then Bai snorted, You are the stinky woman. After that, he added 2 more shots. Seeing this scene, Shimeng was in a daze. Compared with them, he was too weak. The rights he was proud of seemed to be nothing at all under their guns. Yi Qingyi walked up to the other 2 men and said, Say. We are employees of a suburban warehouse. Our boss's name is Qian Zongran. His second brother Qian Pu brought us here today to grab supplies and look for Shimeng. Shimeng's delicate body trembled. Is this Qian Zongran the same as Mr. Qian Huo Wanyan said? Their target is actually him. What are you doing with Simone? It's just our boss who has taken a liking to it. Oh, how many of you are here? About 100. There are 5 more trolls. Another man added, looking at Yi Qingyi pleadingly. We have told you everything we know. Don't kill us. We are just part-time workers. Please, beauty. Yi Qingyi's heart had long been as hard as a stone. He raised his hand and fired 2 shots, sending him directly to hell. At this time, the bedroom door opened, and Tang Zi came out yawning. When he saw the 3 corpses, he paused. What's going on? Xiaobai immediately jumped to Tang Zi's side, hugged Tang Zi's arm and said softly, Master, someone rushed to the building. There are hundreds of people. They are looking for Ximeng. Their boss has taken a fancy to him. Tang Zi looked at Ximeng in the corner, and Ximeng shrank subconsciously. Since you are here to find Sister Shi, for the safety of the entire building, Sister Shi, you have to sacrifice yourself. After all, you are the boss and cannot hide here. Tang Zi's words not only stunned the 3 women, but also Ximeng could not believe it. He had allowed himself to be like them before, and now he wanted to hand him over again. Ximeng can imagine the consequences of handing it over. Let her loose. Yi Qingyi hummed and opened Zimeng's collar, unable to help. If you don't want to be obedient, let's go. Zimeng's whole body lost all strength and collapsed to the ground, unable to stand up. Stop nagging, they will definitely kill you if they can't find you. Tang Zi said calmly. No, I don't want. Ximeng suddenly shook his head wildly, his beautiful face turned pale, he was not as tough as yesterday, and the bottom line in his heart was being destroyed crazily. Tang Zi lit a cigarette and persuaded, being the boss always has to make sacrifices. Didn't you go meet Huo Wanyan for everyone before? No, I'm just pretending. I won't go. Please, don't hand me over. As he spoke, Ximeng knelt and crawled to Tang Zi's feet, grabbing Tang Zi's pants with both hands and begging. Tang Zi reached out and patted Ximeng's head, smiling, it's too late. No, I can just like them, call you master, play with you and lick your toes as you please. He really bowed his head as he said that. Tang Zi felt it immediately and said with a slight smile, since you said so, I will give you another chance. Ximeng was so excited that he would rather follow Tang Zi than be handed over. Thank you, master. Don't thank me so quickly. Let's make a bet. If you win, you will stay with me. If you lose, you will take on the responsibility of the boss of the community, save everyone, and gain a good reputation. Isn't this what you used to do? Are you good at it? Ximeng looked up at Tang Zi. He didn't expect it to be such a bet, but at least there was a chance. Okay, I'll bet. Then let's make it simple. Although you have selfish motives, you are good to the people in the community. You encourage them to live well and distribute supplies. I wonder if they will be grateful and have the courage to fight against the evil forces. So the bet is simple, will they help you or push you into the fire, ladies first? Simon bit his red lips, it was difficult to make a decision, but it was also related to his own death. Suddenly, Ximeng remembered what Yi Qingyi said. In the end of the world, people's selfishness will be infinitely magnified, and they will do anything to survive. What if someone is willing and someone is unwilling? Simon asked. It must depend on the appeal over there. Don't worry, I'm very fair. They will push me into a pit of fire. Although Simon didn't want to say this, he felt that this was the reality. So unsure of yourself, Simon said softly. I know their character better than you. Although I intentionally avoid them, I still have to face them. Haha, it seems you think my fire pit is easier to get into. Ximeng didn't say anything, acquiescing that they were all fire pits, so he would definitely choose Tang Zi. Actually, I still hope that everyone will keep you. After all, I really want to see if there are any good people left. Let's go. Ximeng really wanted to ask a question and just walked out like that. There were hundreds of them. Let's go, why are you standing there in a daze? Sun Ting said in a low voice, not having a good impression of Ximeng. Ximeng could only follow him out. He felt like a piece of cake delivered to his door. Shouldn't he run away at this time? In the underground parking lot, one after another owners came downstairs. Most of them appeared in pajamas. The men who resisted were basically beaten to death on the spot. The men who came down now were all submissive, not to mention the women. They agreed to anything with a knife. Boss, this is indeed a community for rich people, and the goods are very high-end. The younger brother looked at the women coming downstairs with a greedy look. This kind of temperament is not what the rouge and gouache outside can have. Ximeng hasn't been found yet. Qian Pu didn't pay attention to these women at all, and the key targets have not been found yet. No news yet, but he must be hiding somewhere. Qian Pu glanced around. The owners lowered their heads and dared not look directly. This boss, I may know. A man in the crowd raised his hand and shouted. Qian Pu turned around and asked with a smile. Then tell me, if you dare to lie to me, you will be beheaded by me. Okay, I think Xi Meng must be at Brother Tang's house. Who is Brother Tang? Qian Pu wondered. Brother Tang brought Huo Wanyan's head back, which was highly appreciated by Xi Meng. These words made Qian Pu frown, and he couldn't help tightening the spray in his hand. He didn't expect that it was really someone here who did it. What does he do? Special forces. It's a takeout delivery. Huh, delivering food. You're kidding me, chop him to death. Qian Pu was furious and directly ordered his execution. The man did not expect this, thinking that he would survive if he said it. Boss, what I said is true, and they can all testify. However, the people around me kept their heads down and kept silent, ignoring my concerns. You guys talk. No one spoke for the man, and as the axe struck, his head rolled to the ground. Suddenly 2 figures appeared from the stairs. Boss, are you looking for me? Everyone looked around and saw Tang Zi appearing with a spray gun, followed by a pale Xi Meng. Suddenly, 5 trolls were aimed at Tang Zi. Xi Meng's feet felt weak as he looked at the muzzle of the gun. Oh, calm down, this gun has no bullets. With that, Tang threw the troll on the ground. This frightened Qian Pu and his party, and they all thought a gunfight was about to break out. The owners secretly cursed in their hearts, it's okay to scare them, why did they lose their guns, how can they save us? Boss, I actually brought this person to you. After saying that, Tang Zi put his arms around Xi Meng's waist and put his palms on his hips. Qian Pu finally saw the legendary Xi Meng. He had seen him on TV before, but today he finally saw him in person. Unexpectedly, she is more beautiful and elegant than she appears on TV. No wonder her father is obsessed with her. He likes this kind of woman. He who knows the current affairs as a hero. Little brother, I admire you very much. Did they say that you killed Huo Wanyan? Indeed, my little brother is so capable, why not work with me and conquer the world together? That's great. Tang Zi beamed and used the spirit of the 2-headed grass to the extreme, but the big hand did not move, which made Qian Pu a little unhappy. At this time, an owner suddenly shouted, Tang Zi, Mr. Shi has treated you very well. Now that you are seeking glory as a seller, we all look down on you. Yes, I look down on you. These words resonated with other owners. After all, they were still waiting for Tang Zi to come to the rescue. Unexpectedly, Tang Zi arrested Xi Meng directly to take credit. Qian Pu burst out laughing. Your community is very lively. It's really lively. After speaking, Tang Zi shouted to everyone. Dear owners, I am not seeking glory as a seller, but the situation is different. You have all been arrested, so what's the use of just me? Xi Meng treats you well on weekdays, but he didn't let you go hungry in the apocalypse. If we are in trouble now, as long as you resist with me, I, Tang Zi, will risk everything. Their 5 guns can only hit the sky with more than 20 bullets, and we still have a chance. Quote. Qian Pu was stunned. Just now you asked the seller to seek glory, and now you are provoking a fight between the 2 parties. What do you mean? Whoever dares to move, I will kill. Qian Pu raised his spray gun and fired. The loud gunshot made the owners dare not raise their heads. No one wanted to die for Xi Meng. There is still a trace of fantasy in Zimeng's heart. At least half of the people will stand up for themselves. After all, their relationship is not bad on weekdays. But I found that those with whom I usually had good relationships lowered their heads even lower, as if they didn't see me. At this moment, Xi Meng was heartbroken. He knew that no one would save him, but he didn't expect that no one would save him. After all, I still have a bunch of white-eyed wolves. Tang Zi let out a long sigh. Look at you, you have eaten a lot from her, and now you are refusing to save her, so don't call me a seller seeking glory. Besides, I have saved you several times. If it weren't for me, you would have been tortured. Killed for 10,000 years. Hey, can I say something? I'm here to rob, please respect me, please. Qian Pu felt very unhappy, this kid was stealing his limelight. Sorry, I'm a bit bossy, boss, please tell me. Qian Pu said coldly, put your hands down. Well, your request is a bit difficult. Her butt is on my hand. Tang shrugged innocently. You are fooling me, put it down. Qian Pu immediately raised his spray gun and pointed it at Tang Zi. He felt the insult from Tang Zi, but he did not dare to shoot, fearing that the spray gun would kill Xi Meng. Tang Zi's face changed slightly, and he slowly lowered his hand and said, I am an orphan. It's really rude for you to talk like that. I'll kill you. Bang 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 bang. 5 consecutive gunshots broke the balance. Except for Qian Pu, the other 4 people were directly shot in the head. Qian Pu's gun fell to the ground, and he was covering his broken fingers, sweating profusely. There is a gunman. Pick up the gun. However, the boys who rushed to pick up the guns were all shot and killed on the spot without exception. This made the boys dare not move, with fear in their eyes. But this situation undoubtedly makes the owners happy that they are finally saved. The delivery man was very smart. He took Xi Meng out to divert attention and arranged for others to look for opportunities in the dark. You have a gun. Qian Pu covered his fingers with trembling lips and looked deeply at Tang Zi. I don't have a gun these days, so I'm too embarrassed to hang around outside. Otherwise, why would you think she would be so honest? After saying that, she squeezed Zimeng's beautiful face. Qian Pu chuckled. What do you want? I don't want to do anything, I just want to kill you. After saying that, he pulled out the pistol from his waist and opened fire under Qian Pu's fearful eyes. Boom! Qian Pu fell down with his ambition and unwillingness to give up, which explains what it means to not listen to the old people. Young people are frizzy. What's wrong with being a local emperor? The boss was dead, and the younger brothers around him were a little at a loss. At this time, 3 women came out of the surroundings. The owners thought it was who they were, but they didn't expect it to be the 3 women around Tang's. They actually have such shooting skills. Congratulations, you are qualified to stay with me. Tang Zi said lightly. These people in front of him are really disappointing. Xi Meng also had no expectations for these people, and knelt down straight towards Tang Zi. Thank you, master, for taking me in. So good. Tang Zi patted Xi Meng's head. This turns on fixed quad speed. Just when Xi Meng knelt down to worship his master, a voice suddenly sounded, put down the gun. I don't know when, but a few men picked up those spray guns and aimed them at Tang Zi and others. This result made Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi shake their heads. And Bai puffed out her cheeks and looked particularly cute. But Tang Zi smiled, stroked Xi Meng's head and said with a smile, Everyone, I just saved you, is this how you repay me? A bald man walked out of the crowd. Xi Meng looked at him and said softly, This is Mr. Chen. He has never been very honest. Ha ha ha, Brother Tang, it's not that I'm ungrateful, the main thing is that you are too strong, which makes me feel unsure. You can even conquer a woman like Xi Meng, and even make her kneel down. I want her to kneel down too. Quote. Tang Zi smiled helplessly and said, Mr. Chen, let's do this. I will take them away, so that the water in the well will not interfere with the water in the river from now on. Brother Tang, even if I can promise you, the owners won't agree. They are also afraid that you will retaliate, don't you think so? That's right, even Mr. Xi is afraid of you. Kill him and take away their guns. We will be able to protect ourselves. That's right, keep him, we all have to listen to him, and we have to make decisions for ourselves. All the owners expressed their wishes one after another. The meaning is very simple. If you are too strong, we will not be balanced. If you are killed, the balance will be balanced. Qian Pu's younger brothers were shocked. They were actually fighting among themselves. They were all talented people. What you did makes me very embarrassed. Tang Zi clicked his tongue, wanting to leave a way for you to survive, but you wanted to kill me. In this end of the world, it is natural for me to save you and you to kill me. Mr. Chen chuckled and said, You don't have to be embarrassed. It will be easier for us all if you die. Besides, there are 4 beauties accompanying you, and you will still be charming when you get down there. Now that we have talked about it, let's leave no one behind. Tang Zi's eyes turned cold. Xi Meng, who was squatting on the ground, was ready to die, but when he heard Tang Zi's words, he smiled sadly. Kill them, Mr. Chen shouted immediately. At this moment, both sides raised their guns and fired. Bang bang bang. I saw 5 men with spray guns being killed by headshots one after another, but on Tang Zi's side, nothing happened at all, as if they were shooting empty shells. However, there were steel balls falling on the ground, and they were all controlled by Tang Zi without even getting close. At this moment, Everyone was stunned and had no idea what was happening, especially Mr. Chen. Why nothing happened to them, but the person on his side died. Ximeng opened his eyes. He thought he was dead, but he didn't feel any pain. The 5 people on the other side had fallen down. What happened just now? Tang Zi suddenly put his hand into Ximeng's deep V, which made Ximengfang's heart tremble. What was he doing? Under the gaze of everyone, Tang Zi pulled out a golden saber. Draw a knife from your chest. The man dies, the woman stays. Tang Zi said lightly. The quick reacting man immediately went to grab the troll. Yi Qingyi raised his hand and fired 2 shots. Sun Ting and Anbai showed no mercy and sprayed flames from their guns. Bang bang bang. The parking lot instantly became a commotion, with everyone running around trying to escape, whether it was the owner or Qianpu's younger brother. I said today is a bad omen. The younger brother shouted, and before he could run a few steps, the back of his head was penetrated. Mr. Chen was horrified. These people are simply perverts. Tang Zi locked his eyes on Mr. Chen, who was running away, and threw out the golden sword in his hand. Poof! The Zanma saber penetrated from the back of the head and shot out from the mouth. Perhaps because he failed to control his strength, he directly strung the few running in front into gourds and then sank into the cement wall. The owners who saw this scene were horrified. This was not a pervert, this was simply a devil crawling out of hell. As Tang Zi stretched out his palm, the sword that had been sunk into the cement wall was immediately sucked back. Stop pretending, you will all die. With the sword rising and falling, the escaping owners were chopped into 2 pieces. The entire underground garage was like a purgatory, and several were frightened to death. Ximeng just stared blankly at Tang Zi, who was like a demon. Now he finally understood what Yi Qingyi said before. It seems that he really will not die. Ordinary people are no match for him. Huo Wannian may die like this. He said before that he had emptied 2 communities, but now he may have cleared the 3rd one. What a scary man. Fortunately, I won the bet and became his pet. There were 3 other women who shot each one away. Even if they knelt down and begged for mercy, they would kill them without blinking an eye. Leave one alive. Tang Zi, who was covered in blood, looked at Sun Ting and said. Already reserved. Very well, please take stock. I have to visit them door to door. Yes. As Tang Zi left, the parking lot also became quiet. Blood was flowing on the ground and slowly entered the ditch. The smell of blood mixed with a stench, and Ximeng immediately vomited. On the other hand, the 3 women seemed to have become accustomed to it, checking to see if anyone was pretending to be dead, and then firing a shot if they were pretending to be dead. No, don't kill me. I will be Brother Tang's little brother and I can do anything. Sure enough, a man pretending to be dead was found among the corpses. Sun Ting shouted to Ximeng, have you finished vomiting? Come here after vomiting. Simon almost vomited his stomach out. He had never seen such a scene before. There were corpses everywhere. I'm here. At this time, Ximeng completely lowered his figure, not even showing a hint of disobedience, positioning himself below the 3 women. Sun Ting stretched out her pistol. Kill him. Yi Qingyi and Anbai stood nearby, and if there was anything wrong with Ximeng, they would kill him directly. Ximeng's hands were trembling, and he seemed to be sleepwalking. Hey, I'm dreaming. Simon suddenly came back to his senses, looked at the dark pistol, slowly stretched out his hand, and felt a little residual warmth. As Sun Ting let go, Ximeng lost her grip and fell directly to the ground. Sun Ting even laughed. Pick it up. I'm sorry, I didn't expect it to be so heavy. Simon quickly picked it up, holding it with both hands this time, but the muzzle was still shaking. Come on, aim at him. The man immediately shouted. Mr. Shi, it's me, Xiao Chen. Brother Fu and I are very close. I gave you bacon during the Chinese New Year, and you even named my child. Don't kill me. Yi Qingyi said calmly. He was also shouting in the crowd just now that he wanted to kill us. Boom. The shot hit the man's arm directly, and the screams echoed in the parking lot. However, Simon suddenly screamed and kept pulling the trigger until the magazine was emptied. Okay. Sun Ting pressed Ximeng's hands, and she could understand Ximeng's mood at this time. After all, she had also experienced it. It felt like she was going to have a mental breakdown and become a madman. Ximeng gasped for breath, his temples were wet with sweat, and his eyes were blurry. Ask where the suburban warehouse is, so you can pay a visit. Sun Ting said to Yi Qingyi. Yi Qingyi nodded and walked towards the only survivor. He said that he was a survivor, but his legs had been crippled and he only had one breath left. Where is your warehouse? Tell me where it is and I'll give you a pleasure. The pale man looked at Yi Qingyi's face and liked it even at this time. Pulley warehouse. Boom. Let's go back and wait. Sun Ting looked around and saw that she had nothing to do next. Yi Qingyi hummed. There are still corpses at home, so go to Zaimeng's house and wait. That's okay, it looks disgusting. Xiaobai, please support her. Okay. Ximeng suddenly stood up on her own at this time. After all, she was also a contemporary strong woman, but she was just not used to being frightened. I can just go by myself. And Bai snorted and glanced at Ximeng with a hint of vigilance, seeming not to be at ease with this newcomer. Master, what are you doing? Ximeng directly changed the title, which seemed sincere. After all, the scene just now was vivid in his mind. It's time to suck blood. And Bai carefully stepped on the corpse, but her stiletto heels still made blood holes. Ximeng was shocked. Sucking blood. Sun Ting said calmly. The master is a vampire and has the ability to retrieve objects from a distance. You can be spotted. There is smoke in the ancestral grave. Chapter 71. Ximeng took a breath. It turned out that Tang Zi was a vampire. No wonder he was so tyrannical. There was such a thing as a vampire in this world. Then are we his blood slaves? Ximeng suddenly exclaimed. Yi Qingyi paused. Your statement is okay, that's basically it. Oh, Sister Mengmeng, don't worry. As long as you don't make the master angry, you won't feel anything at all. And Bai patted Ximeng's shoulder, which frightened the real estate queen. After all, Zaimeng's cognition is still limited to biting the neck, but their necks are white and clean. Is it sucking the neck? Ximeng asked weakly, and Bai whispered in Zaimeng's ear. Ximeng groaned, and her pretty face gradually turned rosy. It's okay, it still hurts when you bite your neck, so at least you can be sucked in a comfortable way. When they arrived at Zaimeng's house, several women did not dare to take a shower. They could only sit on the sofa with blood and sleep until Tang Zi came back. They could take a shower when Tang Zi came back. Now they felt uncomfortable if they didn't wash themselves well. The sky outside the house is gradually turning white, but it is still gloomy and raining, and it is obvious that the temperature has dropped a few degrees. What most people are most afraid of now is a power outage. If the power goes out, you don't have to starve to death. We'll freeze to death. Suburban warehouse. Maid, the weather is getting colder and colder. It is probably only 7 or 8 degrees this morning. The thin man on sentry breathed in the heat and looked towards the distance of the road. The man next to him drank hot water and said disapprovingly, what does it matter? We have a lot of supplies. When the second boss robs the Shanhu community, we will have boutique houses to live in. Indeed, I can still deal with those white-collar workers. It's exciting to think about it. It's already 7:30 in the morning, why is there still no news? Why do we have to drive the car back? In the office, the ashtray on the table was full of cigarette butts. Qian Zongran and his son Qian Ming were sitting in front of and behind the desk, waiting for news. The longer I waited, the more uneasy I felt, and no one answered my phone calls. Dad, nothing will happen. Qian Ming finally spoke. Shut up. After being drunk by me, Qian Ming lowered his head slightly and said nothing. He looked at the Rolex on his wrist. It was already 8 o'clock in the morning. Qian Zongran stood up, walked back and forth in the office, and suddenly shouted, with 5 spray guns and more than 20 bullets, there is no way that we can't attack a community. Yes, but now they have no news at all. Qian Ming felt that his brother would not die. Qian Zongran said solemnly, there is another possibility. Your brother wants to fly solo. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Qian Ming stood up excitedly. Nothing is impossible. Qian Pu has always been opposed to my strategy. This time I asked him to take away half of the trolls. He has not yet established himself as a king. I was also carried away by women. Why did I give away half of it? As Qian Zongran said this, Qian Ming felt that it made sense. He sat feebly on the chair and remembered his brother's urgent look last night. It turned out that his purpose was not to catch Simone, but to get a gun. Go and tell your brothers to be more vigilant. This kid has been swallowed up by his power. He is very likely to bring someone back to kill him. No matter what, you are still his father. Qian Zongran suddenly laughed. I finally understand now that those rebellious princes in ancient times dared to kill even me, and I also understand that I can even kill my son. This is a life and death battle. Maybe Qian Pu's phone is out of battery, or it's just inconvenient to answer the phone. Dad, you must be overthinking. Have everyone's cell phones run out of battery? How long are you going to comfort yourself? This brat must have harvested a lot of benefits from Shanhu community and wants to keep it all to himself. Although Qian Ming didn't want to believe it, the facts were right in front of him. Cutting off contact, what else could it be if it wasn't rebellion? I see. Just let the brothers be more vigilant. Don't say that the second brother has rebelled, so as not to affect people's hearts. For the remaining 5 trolls, give me 1, yourself, and 3 more trustworthy brothers. Hearing these words, it seemed that he was about to start a war with his brother. Qian Ming just sighed helplessly, hoping that this was just his father's guess and that his brother would be back soon. However, at noon, no one came back. Qian Ming knew that his brother must have rebelled. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Tang Zi finally returned to Shimeng's home. You are really here. Tang Zi, who entered the room, looked at the 4 women and smiled, but this smile was creepy, mainly because his face was covered with blood. And Bai immediately ran to Tang Zi. Master, I'm hungry. Tang Zi smiled and patted Bai on the head. Go take a bath first, and then eat. The harvest this time is indeed not small. The energy tank has reached 63% of the progress. The big area is the big area, and it is a complete victory in terms of quantity. Moreover, I also looted a lot of supplies. Although they are of no use to me, I cannot leave them to others. I, Tang Zi, am not a philanthropic person. The system is still almost ready to be upgraded. At 4 times the speed, it will take at least a month. We are also people of quality, and the key point is to be reasonable. If others don't bully me, I won't bully others. If you want to kill me, I will kill your whole family. If you don't bring harm to your family, that's nonsense. Raising a tiger brings trouble. Except for Shimeng, who was a little bit reluctant to let go, the other 3 girls were harmonious. When they came to Shimeng's dressing room, there were a dazzling array of high-end clothes. LV and Hermes were all standard. Naturally, they chose the style that Tang Zi liked. What is our purpose? It's not about falling in love, it's about serving the master well, making the master happy, and enjoying the supreme treatment. In the living room, Tang's was already eating durian pizza while sitting on the sofa. The 4 girls who had just left the bedroom immediately smelled the aroma. Ximeng was shocked, feeling that this smell was like what he smelled in his previous life. The 4 women looked at the pizza. Where did it come from? You guys can divide it between yourselves. Tang's, who was in a good mood, laughed, as if he was like a slave owner, and they were acting as a villain. It was originally intended to correct their bad habits, but as soon as the proposal came out, it was rejected with sharp words. I was shocked at the time. In particular, and Bai said, as the master's kitten, how can it be qualified to eat with the master? This is blasphemy and disrespect for the master. Please respect us and respect our truest thoughts. From that time on, Tang's just let them do whatever they wanted, so as not to say that he was trampling on their human rights and disrespecting women. A set of punches almost knocked him unconscious. After eating and drinking, naturally get ready to work. Don't get it wrong. The work Tang Zi mentioned is to find Qian Zongran and others, and then prepare to go to Yunhai City. After all, you must do what you promised to others. After taking revenge, he had to go to Shuangdong district. He didn't know if Ning Qingwei had lied to him. Superstar, how big is it? It can't be smaller than Simon. What, you can't bear to leave? How about you stay? Tang Zi looked at Shimeng, who was reluctant to leave. Ximeng quickly explained. The owner misunderstood me. This is my first apartment, and I may not see it again in the future. Tang Zi chuckled, lit a cigarette and said, Yi Qingyi persisted for almost a week. You haven't even lasted a day. Do you think you are smart or have no bottom line? It will be my greatest honor, Ximeng, to serve my master. After saying that, he knelt at Tang Zi's feet, lowered his head and kissed Tang Zi's shoes to express his loyalty. But Tang Zi just smiled. Okay, I understand what you mean, let's go. Thank you, master. Xameng walked in front and pressed the elevator, standing respectfully aside, feeling like a sensible secretary. The group of people did not go to the parking lot. After all, the smell inside was a bit strong, and went directly to the door of the first floor. After all, they went out. The 4 women wore warm down jackets and covered their bodies tightly. The beautiful scenery inside was exclusive to only Tang Zi. At this time, Karasawa was choosing a car. The Tank 300 last time was blown to pieces. He felt that the rear row was still lacking a little, so this time he had to focus on the rear row. Let's go with the Maybach. Mercedes-Benz's main focus is the comfort of the rear row. This 4-seater Maybach is not suitable. That is the basic Maybach 480, a 5-seater version, which has just the right number of people. I'll do a magic trick for you. Wow, has Master started flirting with girls? Anbai asked enthusiastically. Tang Zi shrugged. Do I still need to tease you? It seems that you are teasing me. PFF'd, Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting both laughed. Although Shimeng wanted to laugh, he didn't dare. Come, Your Majesty, I am as urgent as the law. Please change it for me. I saw a tracked version of a golden Mercedes-Benz Maybach appearing beside me out of thin air. Gift crab. The mouths of the 4 beauties were all wet. Da Mengmeng, go and drive. Yi Yi and Ting Ting will sit in the back seat with me. Master, Xiaobai wants to sit in the back row with you. Don't be anxious, everyone takes turns. Tang Zi felt a lot. Before the apocalypse, he was a silent stinker. After the apocalypse, he turned into a big, fragrant stinker, and everyone wanted to take a bite. As the 5 people boarded the car, the dignified real estate queen directly acted as the driver. Anbai looked back from time to time in envy. Tangs felt that this was life, and it felt much more comfortable. Demengmeng, let's play some soothing music. Good master. Let's go to Pulley Warehouse. Tang Zi focused his eyes. The 12-cylinder engine roared violently, and the tracks rubbed against the cement floor, causing sparks, and then rushed out of the Shanhu community. When such a car appears on the road, it becomes the focus. Residents on both sides of the street stare blankly, and some shout for help. Inside the car, it has achieved perfect sound insulation, pink ambient lights, soft music, and the car is filled with a delicious feminine fragrance. How long does it take to arrive? About half an hour. Tang Zi said he just had time to refresh his energy tank. This is called life. In the past, he could only call it survival. Simon, who was driving, held the steering wheel tightly and looked in the rearview mirror from time to time, more or less thinking. Everyone in Pulley Warehouse seemed very nervous, and bad rumors spread, making people panic. The only thing that can soothe people's hearts, besides food, is women. After getting a lot of women from Huo Wannian, Qianming immediately took out 10 for his brothers to try, and then he became a little more stable. Dad, we don't need to tell them now, they can guess it. Qianming was heartbroken that his brothers actually fell apart for profit. Qian Zongran tapped his fingers on the desk. You have to be careful, combine candy with sticks, and kill a few troublemakers with a gun. I understand. After saying that, Qianming walked out of the office with the spray gun. A bald man walked out of the room with a toothpick in his hand. Boss, I'm tired of playing around. Do you have anything better? Yes, boss, these women are dry and dry. Qianming walked up to the bald head with a smile. Yes. Then don't let the brothers take it out for fun, ha ha ha. He smiled, his bald head couldn't laugh anymore, and the troll was already on his chin. The bald man was stunned for a moment, then forced out a smile and said, Boss, be careful of fire. Boom, everyone is equal in front of the trolls, and a hole was blasted out of his head. Qianming's face was splattered with blood and brain matter, and all the boys around him were frightened. You were right, you went wrong. After saying this, Qianming looked at the man who had just agreed. The man knelt down directly. Boss, I didn't say anything. Seriously, don't kill me. However, they were greeted by a group of trolls. This brutal method immediately shocked everyone and they did not dare to say a word. Qianming was still satisfied that 2 bullets had such an effect. Who else is dissatisfied? Qianming glanced around, but no one said a word. But then there was a knocking sound on the iron door. Is there anyone inside? I'm delivering food. The sudden sound made everyone in the warehouse stunned. They looked at the closed iron door. This moment seemed to be back to the past, as if there was no apocalypse at all. No, it's the end of the world. Where are the food delivery companies? There are still food delivery guys these days. I'm afraid they're here to get you killed. Go and open the door. Qian Ming shouted, and the spray gun in his hand was loaded again. How can the younger brother dare to disobey the elder brother? If he has money, he will be the elder brother and open the iron gate honestly. Pushing the iron door open, the little brother immediately ran back. His scared look was very funny. I saw Tang Zi holding Xi Meng's hand and walking into the warehouse. The men in the warehouse were shocked and couldn't understand what this meant. This young man looks harmless, smiling as if he's just visiting. The woman he's holding is as mature as a peach, with his turbulent snow-capped mountains, perky buttocks, and beautiful face. In this apocalyptic world, he's completely capable of attracting attention. Men fight over it. You are Xi Meng. Qian Ming recognized it quickly, but he couldn't turn his head around. Why did she come here on her own? The men were talking a lot, but their eyes were very unified. They all looked at Xi Meng greedily. No wonder the boss wanted her. Who wouldn't want such a top-notch beauty? Mr. Xi, welcome. A voice came from the second floor, and Qian Zongran was seen standing by the guardrail, looking down at Tang Zi, to be precise, at Xi Meng. Simone returned to her queenly aura at this time, losing her charming smile and replacing it with arrogance and indifference. Tang Zi said, "You guys, don't change yourself for me, just do whatever you want. After all, only the original taste is interesting, otherwise it will be a soulless body." You are the Mr. Qian that Mr. Huo talks about. Xi Meng thought that Mr. Qian would be the kind of big boss, but he didn't expect that he was just a small boss who owned a few warehouses. If it weren't for the materials in the warehouses, there would be no one with him. Qian Zongran felt the contempt in Xi Meng's eyes, but he smiled nonchalantly. I only saw Mr. Xi on TV before, and today I saw that he is really beautiful and beautiful. You are not qualified to comment on my beauty. These slightly domineering words made the men ready to move. After all, what they can't get is fragrance. Tang Zi suddenly approached Xi Meng and chuckled in his ear. Da Mengmeng, I still appreciate you now. Zimeng's heart trembled slightly, and his ears felt numb. Qian Zongran watched his prey quarreling with each other, and shouted, Xi Meng, where is my son? It's in your hands. I beat him to death. Xi Meng said lightly, taking the blame directly. Qian Zongran suddenly raised his gun and pointed it at Xi Meng, but he just raised his gun. Xi Meng sneered and shouted disdainfully, avenge your son, or are you unwilling to beat me to death? After all, it is difficult for you to meet a woman like me. These words really touched Qian Zongran's heart. If his son was really dead, wouldn't it be even worse for him to beat her to death? Ha ha ha, no wonder she will become the youngest female boss in our city. This is not unreasonable. Tell me, what do you want to do? Simon said calmly. I'm here to beat you to death. What? Beat me to death? Ha 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 ha, what are you going to beat me to death with? Qian Zongran laughed wildly. He was originally worried about not being able to find her, but now she came directly to her door and made wild remarks. At this time, Xi Meng glanced at the boys around him. You worked hard for this old man, but what did you get in the end? A cheap woman, and he can enjoy me. Is this fair? Of course the younger brothers think it's unfair. Why should all the beautiful women be given to the boss, while the crooked ones should be kept for themselves? Don't listen to this woman's tricks. Qian Zongran shouted angrily. He really had no good intentions. And Xi Meng pointed at Qian Zongran and shouted, whoever kills him, I will be his woman. Suddenly, there was silence in the warehouse. It seemed that only the sound of the men swallowing could be heard. Looking at Xi Meng's beautiful face, if I could kiss fangs, it would be the pinnacle of life. At this time, Tang Zi was surprised. After all, it was not like this according to the plan. Xiao Bai and the others were sniping and killing them from a distance. And Xi Meng actually wanted them to fight among themselves. Can the three views follow the five senses? Suddenly, Qian Ming raised his gun and pointed it at another man holding a gun. Zhu Hai, what are you doing? Put the gun down. Brother Ming, what are you pointing at me for? You're crazy. Zhu Hai also immediately raised his gun towards Qian Ming. At such a tense moment, Simon added another fire. Don't you want me? Don't you want to enjoy my hot body? Kill them. Boom! Qian Ming suddenly shot and killed Zhu Hai, and even the two younger brothers around Zhu Hai were shot and injured. You killed my brother. The other gunman obviously had a good relationship with Zhu Hai and immediately raised his gun and shot Qian Ming. With a bang, Qian Ming was shot in the chest and fell down. When he fell, he fired a shot, killing the two boys next to him. Qian Zongran on the second floor saw his son was shot, and immediately shot at the gunman with a spray gun. The scene immediately became chaotic. Someone actually ran to the second floor with a knife, intending to chop Qian Zongran to death and gain seats. Dream of such a stunning beauty. There are not many people who covet Qian Zongran's boss's position. Now he can not only win the boss's position, but also win the beauty back. This business can be done. Tang Zi was also surprised when he saw the messy scene in front of him. He turned to look at Xi Meng. She was indeed beautiful, but not that good. In fact, Tang Zi's condition should be called aesthetic fatigue. Every day when he opens his eyes, he sees a beautiful woman. What do others see when they open their eyes? His hair is messy, he hasn't showered for several days, and his body smells bad. Therefore, Tang Zi cannot feel that the other person sees Xi Meng. This is not the first time that Xi Meng has taken advantage of his beauty. Especially in Shanhu community, there are many men who work hard for him, but the only time he suffered was from Tang Zi. Why did Ximeng feel that half of the people would fight for him last night? It was also based on this point. However, Ximeng forgot that last night, he surrendered to Tang Zi. His aloof persona collapsed, and his attraction naturally diminished. And now that power has been revealed again, coupled with the panic today, it directly makes the other side kill each other. Xiao Li, don't mess around. Qian Zongran pointed a gun at the young man holding a dagger in front of him. He was also his employee before and was an honest person. He didn't expect it to turn out like this. Xiao Li breathed quickly and said, "Boss, thank you for your cultivation over the years. You are already old. It would be better if you leave opportunities to young people like us." You disappoint me so much, Xiao Li. Qian Zongran pulled the trigger, but the result was just a click. Xiao Li showed a smile. "Boss, I have counted and you are out of bullets." Qian Zongran immediately threw the gun out, turned around and ran towards the office, trying to lock himself in. Just when I turned around and opened the door, I felt a sharp pain in my back. You. Qian Zongran slowly turned back to look at Xiao Li with a ferocious expression. Xiao Li was also a ruthless person and stabbed continuously. Qian Zongran never expected that he would die at the hands of his former employee. After killing Qian Zongran, Xiao Li raised his dagger and shouted, "Qian Zongran has been killed by me." The warehouse became quiet again, and he looked at Xiao Li on the second floor. Suddenly a figure appeared next to Xiao Li, giving Xiao Li a chill from behind, and then laughed wildly, "From now on, I will be the boss, and Ximeng is mine." What qualifications do you have to be the boss? Brothers, chop him to death. At this moment, everyone is trying their best to fight for the boss and Xi Meng. Anyway, as long as he kills the one in front, he will be the boss. Bored Tangs lit a cigarette. "I didn't expect you to be so charming. Master, you weren't the same at the beginning." Ahem, cough, cough, I was just pretending. Well, the master is just pretending. Tang Zi slapped the buttocks. "Demengmeng, you're a little naughty." Learned it from Xiao Bai. Sure enough, bad ones are particularly easy to learn. Xi Meng smiled lightly. If Tang Zi was not around, he would not dare to come to this wolf den alone. Xi Meng still understood the principle of finding a strong backer. At this time, Xiao Bai's voice sounded in the headsets of Tang Zi and Xi Meng. "Sister Xi, you are really good at passing the blame. This is called enlightenment," Sun Ting joked. The people on the other side were fighting to the death, but the people on the other side were flirting, and Tang Zi couldn't stand it any longer. The more they talked, the more dirty they got, and he was almost ruining himself. During the conversation, almost everyone on the scene died, and in the end there were two warriors left fighting a duel. Tangs was puzzled. "Do I look so weak? Do you think I am heir?" Not to mention, these men all regarded Tang Zi as nothing, and didn't pay attention at all. It can only be said that Tang Zi's appearance is too deceiving. "Brother, let's stop fighting. How about we get together?" one of them suggested. "Haha, I don't have that kind of taste, come on. The negotiation collapsed, and the blade chopped at the opponent's body mercilessly. Even the final winner suffered multiple stab wounds all over his body. Without medicine, he would not survive for long. Tang Zi sighed. I didn't expect that you would leave only one of them with just one word. Made the master laugh. I saw the winner walking slowly, with blood dripping from his fingers and flowing all over the floor. His face was slashed and his skin was torn. But his eyes were fixed on the beautiful Ximeng, as if he was not the one who was injured. Is the temptation of beauty so great? I did it, you will be mine from now on. The winner seemed to be announcing his winning prize, his eyes blooming with the final greed. Ximeng showed a beautiful smile and said, Little brother, didn't your mother tell you that the more beautiful a woman is, the more likely she is to lie? The little brother looked confused. When he saw Ximeng take out a pistol from his down jacket, he seemed to be immobilized. Boom! As the bullet casings fell to the ground, the entire warehouse fell silent. Tang Zi couldn't help but applaud. As expected of Da Mengmang, he took care of them all with one bullet. The main thing is that Da Mengmang has the confidence to have his master by his side. You're being modest, let's go. Master, wait a moment. Ximeng took Tang Zi's hand, and her beautiful eyes began to waver slightly. What's wrong? Ximeng suddenly changed from being cowardly, and whispered in Tang Zi's ear with a queen's tone, Excuse me. Quote. I, a serious person like Tang Zi, am really going to be led astray by these women. I really have no bottom line. I must resist and condemn this kind of behavior. On the floor not far away, 3 barrettes were pointed at the warehouse, and 3 charming figures were lying on the ground. It's just that the picture in the sight is no longer the enemy. How cool. Sun Ting smiled through the scope. It's so big. And Bai was somewhat envious. Yi Qingyi pouted and did not continue reading. He patted Sun Ting and Anbai and asked them to turn off their headsets first. What's wrong? Sun Ting asked confused. Yi Qingyi said seriously. Ximeng has behaved like this since he arrived, I'm afraid it's a bit disadvantageous for us. Anbai said innocently. Sister Yi, you are worrying too much. Yi Qingyi gave up Xiaobai directly. You were still counting the money after being sold, and looked at Sun Ting. Indeed, she is quite good at seducing the master. Let's see her attitude first. Now there is no excuse to kill her. If the master blames her, we will shed our skin even if we don't die. That's all we can do now. Anbai said seriously. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi rolled their eyes at the same time. Fortunately, you followed the master in the last days, otherwise your brain would have sent you out directly. Before leaving, Tangs collected all the materials in the surrounding warehouses, leaving not a grain of rice behind wherever he passed. Back in the car, Sun Ting drove this time, while Ximeng sat in the passenger seat to rest. Da Mengmang, where is your warehouse? Ximeng opened his eyes and said sheepishly, The things in my warehouse have been gone for a long time. I was lying to them, otherwise I wouldn't have gone to Huo Wannian. Sun Ting, who was driving, said calmly, You are quite good at lying. Ximeng immediately sensed Sun Ting's hostility and flattered her, Sister, there was nothing I could do at the time. Don't call me sister, I'm a few years younger than you. Sun Ting's tone was a little relaxed. After all, she felt that Ximeng was trying to please her. Ximeng was not a stupid woman. She smiled and said, You are all my sisters, please take care of me. I'm just saying. Yi Qingyi coughed a few times when he saw Anbai's mouth. Ximeng looked at Yi Qingyi and Anbai, and just smiled and didn't say much, but he felt that they had a problem. As a newcomer, he might give him a slap in the face, and with today's performance, they were worried. What I, Ximeng, want to do is to be a woman who is inferior to one person but more than 10,000 people. You are right to worry. Tang Zi looked at the 4 women with a smile. There are probably 800 people in this car. Judging from Ximeng's performance today, the 3 of you combined are not as good as her. Ximeng has a strong ability to adapt and has his own idea. The only one who can break up with Ximeng is Xiao Yi. Xiao Tingting still has to figure it out. Xiao Bai forgets it, she doesn't even know she was sold. But Tang Zi felt that Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting were no match for Ximeng. Tangs clapped his hands. We have a rule. You have to tell your own story and experience. Da Mengmang, start your speech. experience. From childhood to adulthood, Xameng was surprised. The newcomer still wants to tell his own story. Does he want to know the root cause? This is Ximeng Duo. It was just brought up by Tang Zi unintentionally, and it has become a routine since then. Yes, Yi Qingyi said. Xameng pursed her red lips and frowned slightly. I was born in a rural area. My family was very poor. When my father was working outside, my mother ran away with a man in the city. My father failed to recover and died within a few years. I was in high school. I dropped out of school before finishing my studies and came to work in Huan City. I worked in a factory because it was easier to be beautiful than others, and I gradually became able to use my beauty to achieve my goals. The factory director's son was attracted to me. He would buy me whatever I wanted, even his father did, but I still overestimate myself and actually want to be strong. I was so desperate at the time that I knocked off the grandson's balls with one kick and then ran out. At this time, I met Fu Qi. He was about to get in the car when he met me asking for help. Fu Qi's family was very powerful. At that time, he still had a wife, but he was also pursuing me crazily. He even helped me settle the relationship between the father and his son. When I opened a company, he paved the way for me to find a bank loan and let me go. When there was a development project, I was the first to know about it. In the end, he got divorced, and his wife came to me and said that he was impotent, but for me, it was good news. Quote, so not long after, we got married, but we didn't have a wedding, we just got a certificate. The business became bigger and bigger, so he resigned to avoid suspicion. My life is probably like this. Tang Zi touched his chin and looked at Sun Ting. Why are you parking the car? Listen to the story, otherwise you may get distracted and get into an accident. Sun Ting said pitifully. Tang Zi suddenly understood, looked at Ximeng and patted his leg and said, no wonder you are so tight. Quote. Yi Qingyi was dissatisfied. Am I very lax? This is my first time. Me too, I'm talking as if it's not the first time for anyone. My big brother in the live broadcast room didn't even ask me to go. Sun Ting yelled, looking down on someone. And Bai also raised his hand and said weakly, actually, this is also my first time. Tang Zi laughed loudly. These women were so funny. Okay, it's my first time too, everyone will not lose. I always seem out of place when I'm chatting with you guys. You guys are so dirty. I can't even keep up with the speed of the car. Tang Zi's words immediately caused the four women to boo. We are just having fun with our mouths, but you are serious, let's compare. Master, what's your story? Xameng was curious about Tang Zi's experience. Was he also a cruel person before? The other three women didn't dare to talk nonsense about Tang Zi's experience, after all, it was so different from now. Xiao Yi, tell me. I said it all last time. Tang Zi was generous. It was a dark history. Everyone was happy to say it. After hearing this, Yi Qingyi immediately started gossiping. Our master, he was really an honest boy before. I'll go, you really said it. Ah, you asked me to say that. Yi Qingyi was even frightened. Seeing Yi Qingyi's face turn pale with fright, Tang Zi burst out laughing. I'm teasing you, keep talking. Master, stop talking. Yi Qingyi crossed his arms and looked out the window angrily. He thought he was going to die just now. Now it's up to Bai to show off. Xiao Bai, come on. Okay, our master used to be the kind of person who could be bullied by anyone. He was suppressed in the workplace. He chased a girl and was insulted on the spot. How pitiful. The gossip in Ximeng's chest burned crazily. What girl? Tang Zi smiled and said, that's the lover named Bai. Bai Jian, did you kill them, master? Ximeng suddenly remembered. Yes, they wanted to drug me and take my supplies, but I killed them. Actually, they went to your community mainly to find this woman. Tang Zi said that I don't want to kill anyone, but if I don't kill others, others will kill me. Ah. What the hell can I do? Ximeng sighed. Everyone has a past, but Tang Zi is different from other men. Other men will hide their past very well, but Tang Zi doesn't care about telling it at all, and even has a sense of self-deprecation. Sometimes I feel that he is cruel, but sometimes I feel that he is like a child who is forced to do nothing by this apocalypse. Where are we going now? Ximeng was a little confused as he watched the car drive towards the city again. Looking for a star, I don't know if it's real. If not, go directly to Yunhai City. Looking for a star, Tang Zi hummed. Maybe this big star is in dire straits, and as a man, I have to help. The four women rolled their eyes to the back of their heads at the same time. If you, the master, help anyone, it will definitely be a mental torture. But Tang's was right about one thing. This big star was indeed in dire straits. Coast Garden, the most outstanding villa area in Huan City, is all single-family homes, and the environment is very good. The price of each building is around 200 million, and many wealthy businessmen and celebrities have bought it here. But at this time, these rich people all regretted why they bought in this shabby place. Because the entire Shuangdong district had a power outage a week ago, and Coast Garden was among them. If the temperature continues to drop like this, sooner or later you will freeze to death. Fortunately, some homes have fireplaces where you can burn books. Some people still have a lot of supplies at home. This is thanks to the fear of death among the rich. They stock up on supplies at home when they have nothing to do. They are afraid that the world will end one day, and it will happen this time. But some have no tons, or not many tons. For example, the villa where Li Linger lives doesn't have much food. Sitting next to the fireplace, covered with quilts, Li Linger tore up the book, threw the paper in and burned it. The firelight illuminated that peerless face, like the most gorgeous flower in spring. It didn't need much modification at all, it was natural. The beauty is enough to captivate thousands of people. Her eyes, which were supposed to be full of energy, now carry a hint of despair, but her eyebrows are like a graceful stroke in the landscape, adding a bit of playfulness and agility. Unfortunately, the warm smile is gone, and she just repeats tearing up books. Actions. Before the end of the world, Li Linger was a rising star in the entertainment industry. With a TV series and her deeply rooted acting skills, she conquered the audience. Since then, she has been out of control. She has endorsed brands, made movies, and even appeared in last year's Spring Festival Gala. Now she is only 22 years old, not even graduated from college. Originally, I just took a business performance and arranged to rest here, but it rained that night, and I was trapped, and then nothing happened. I thought the rain would pass quickly, but the last food was eaten and only half a bottle of water was left. The rain has not stopped yet, and I will wait until I starve to death. There was a time when the rain stopped, and many people came in with sticks and knives in their hands. I was frightened at that time. The iron door outside was smashed. Fortunately, the door was hard enough and was not kicked open. Otherwise, they would have been captured by the bandits. Moreover, as it started to rain, the group of people ran away again. If the rain stopped, they would definitely be captured. Will come again. Sometimes I hope the rain will stop, sometimes I don't. Anyway, the food has been eaten up, so just wait quietly for death. It's no big deal. You will still be a good man after 18 years. As he thought about it, Li Linger was amused by himself, and as expected, his smile was alluring. At the entrance of the Coast Garden, Tang Zi and his 4 girls stood under the rain in protective clothing, looking very unusual. How about we make a bet? Tang Zi suddenly suggested. When they heard that Tang Zi wanted to bet, the 4 women immediately stepped back and bet with their master. If they lost, they might lose their lives. And Bai knew in this regard that gambling is harmful to people, so stay away from gambling. What are you doing? You're making me look like a devil. The eyes of the 4 women said, isn't it? If you win, I'll reward you with your favorite food. If you lose, just give me a dance. How about it? Do you want to come? The 4 girls took a step forward in unison. If I had told you earlier, they would scare the cats to death. How to bet? And Bai asked curiously. We knock on doors door to door and bet on whether they can open the door. If the other party takes us in and doesn't harm us, I will also give us supplies. Tang Zi just wants to know if there are any good people these days. Anyway, I have never seen one until now. No, Luo Jun from Shanhu community is considered one, which is why they have been given opportunities again and again, but nothing has changed. But this is a villa, not a community. This is entering someone else's home directly. Someone must open the door. Shi Meng said immediately. After all, this is a question of probability, and losing is just dancing anyway. Me too, Sun Ting echoed. Isn't dancing just what she is good at? She even skipped it before. Tang Zi looked at Yi Qingyi and Xiao Bai, who nodded. Okay, I'll bet no one will open the door. If someone is kind enough to take us in, they'll give us at least a year's supplies without saying anything. After robbing so many supplies, Tang Zi didn't want to give them to some bad people. Good people deserve to live more. Master, you have a kind heart. Sun Ting couldn't help but tease. I'm not a bad person. Did I force you? No. Yes, we are all voluntary. Tang Zi shrugged. You are so reluctant, please turn around and walk back. I promise not to pursue you. After speaking, Tang Zi walked towards the inside. Oh, the master is angry. Wait a minute, Xiao Bai, and Bai was quick. The three women at the back door looked at each other, and Sun Ting followed. Yi Qingyi and Shi Meng felt that this was an opportunity to leave, but how long could they survive without Tang Zi? Maybe I can't even get out of this city. There was nothing to think about, so Yi Qingyi and Shi Meng followed. Look, this is of your own free will. Seeing Tang Zi's true expression, the four women all laughed. Maybe this was the real him. When we arrived at the first villa, the iron door outside seemed to have been violently smashed open. It seemed that villas in wealthy areas had also been robbed. Go directly to the door and knock. If Karasawa calls now, your takeout will be here. It's just a horror movie. Subtle footsteps seemed to be approaching the door. Tang Zi shouted, is there anyone here? Can I stay here for one night? Get out, or I'll chop you to death. The man in the room looked at the peephole on the door. There were 5 weirdos standing outside. They might have tricked him into opening the door, and then robbed them of supplies. Tang Zi helplessly spread his hands. This brother is very angry. Brother, please open the door. And Bai suddenly shouted sweetly. He actually used a woman to seduce him and open the door. Get out, Tang shrugged. It was useless even for Xiao Bai to take action. It seemed that wearing protective clothing was not enough. Showing his appearance might open the door. Of course, you can't say anything bad about others. Not opening the door is normal behavior, but opening the door is abnormal. Change another home, Tang Zi said helplessly, unable to send supplies even if he wanted to. When we arrived at the door of the second villa, the iron door was still open. This time, in order to let the other party open the door, the 4 women had to take off their protective clothing. Hey, you can't be a simp. Tang Zi stopped him immediately. If you show your appearance, even the most wary man will open the door. Brother in the room, please open the door. It's so cold. Brother, open the door. Several black lines appeared on Tang Zi's forehead, and goosebumps were everywhere. However, a woman's voice sounded in the room, get out. PFF'd, ha 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 ha. Tang Zi suddenly burst into laughter. He actually encountered the mistress in the house. How could he let you in to seduce his man? Change. An hour later, Tang Zi showed a winner's smile, finally winning. Since you want to dance, then you need to rehearse. It needs to be cute and hot, like that kind of Korean dance group. Tang Zi has already started to make demands. This is simply a post-apocalyptic girl group. Yi Qingyi pursed his lips and said, we haven't lost yet. You have a tough talk. These days, if anyone can open the door, I will chop myself into pieces. Shi Mengjiao smiled and said, don't do that, we won't be able to use it anymore. That's right, you can't chop it. Sun Ting agreed. Tang said that he used to ignore it, but now he holds it in his hands and caress it, and holds it in his mouth for fear of melting. Arriving at the door of the villa, Tang Zi knocked on the door, is anyone there? Li Ling'er in the room looked towards the door with a hint of panic. Sun Ting shouted with a hint of trembling, we are fleeing here, can we stay here for one night? Please. And Bai's slightly waxy tone was indeed very lethal. When Li Ling'er heard the girl's voice, she stood up wrapped in quilt, put on a mask and came to the door. Tang Zi heard the sound of footsteps and judged that there must be a woman inside, so you hit the muzzle again. As long as I don't break into the house and can't find the so-called celebrity, I might as well forget it. It's not my style to rob civilian girls in broad daylight. Li Ling'er saw 5 people through the peephole, wearing protective clothing, feeling like a rescue team. Where are you from? Li Ling'er's voice sounded. Tang Zi secretly thought something bad. She was actually a young girl. She wouldn't be so sympathetic and open the door. She wouldn't be so stupid. Yi Qingyi hurriedly said, we escaped from Shanhu community. Has your neighborhood been robbed by bad guys? Exameng thought it was funny. The girl spoke softly. Yes, my parents were killed. There is really no place to go. There are bad people on the road. These words seemed to resonate with Liling, and they didn't feel like bad people, so they opened the locks one after another. When Tang Zi saw the door slowly opening, his eyebrows trembled. No matter what, they were the ones who won. The four women were all smiling. Master, your gambling luck seems to be a little bad. Tang Zi wanted to see what kind of woman could be so big-hearted. She dared to open the door at this time without fear of being killed. At first glance, she looked like a novice who had never experienced the world. Looking at the woman wrapped in a quilt and wearing a mask in front of him, Tang Zi paused. Her eyes were pretty. But I, Tangs, haven't lost yet. Maybe there are a few big guys hiding at the back door. As long as they go in, they will be killed. That way defeat can be turned into victory. Thank you, we'll stay for one night and then leave. And Bai's tone is easy to like. Liling nodded. Then you come in. Tang Zi's hand is already holding the gun, ready to shoot at any time. Little sister, your acting skills are too poor. Call your accomplices. However, when I walked into the room, there was nothing but air conditioning. Tang Zi understood. He must be hiding in the bedroom, no wonder he didn't hear any footsteps. I'm sorry, I've finished all the food, and there's only half a bottle of water left. If you don't mind me drinking it. Lilinger's words made the five of them stunned. Can they still entertain guests like this now? I wonder how precious water is now. Tang Zi chuckled inwardly. The water must be poisoned. I can see through your trick at a glance. The five people took off their protective clothing first. Lilinger finally saw the faces of the four women, and was shocked. A boy actually brought four such beautiful girls. Then we won't be polite. Tang Zi said with a smile, thinking to himself, you must be reluctant to part with it. However, Lilinger took the half bottle of Baisuishan from the coffee table, found 5 paper cups, and filled it with water just like he used to entertain guests. Tang Zi squinted his eyes slightly. He might have been drugged just before entering the house. Wait for me to test. After taking the paper cup, Tangs immediately took out the tester and put it into the cup, but the green light was displayed. Safety. How can it be? Oh, got it. Pretending to be half full of water to win favor. There must be more supplies hidden in such a big villa. Wait for me to find out. I have an urgent need to urinate. Where is the toilet? Tang said with a smile. Just go straight and turn right. Thank you. After saying that, Tang Zi pretended to go to the toilet and immediately went upstairs when Lilinger wasn't paying attention. Lilinger said with a hint of a smile, sorry, it's a bit cold in the room. Come over here and warm yourself by the fire. Oops, the fire is going out. After that, he hurried to the fireplace to tear up the paper. I'm here to help you. And Bai ran to help. The 3 women at the back door looked at each other. In fact, they had the same idea as Tang Zi when they entered the house. They smelled a conspiracy, but Xiao Bai didn't feel defensive at all. As the fire got louder, Lilinger breathed a sigh of relief. You all come over and warm yourself by the fire. Don't catch a cold. There is no medicine for colds now. Little sister, do you live here alone? Simon came to the fireplace and felt much more comfortable. Lilinger hummed and whispered helplessly. Well, there was electricity before, but it suddenly disappeared last week. Where are your parents? Yi Qingyi looked around and asked curiously. Speaking of this, Lilinger's eyes could not help but condense with mist. They have been beaten to death. What's going on? Yi Qingyi asked with concern. My parents live in a 5th-tier city. We were in contact at first, but gradually my dad said that the community was unsafe, and my mom even told me not to go out. After a few days, she didn't reply to me, so I asked my neighbors. Auntie, because my dad resisted those people, the result. Lilinger started crying as she spoke. Sun Ting, and Bai, and Yi Qingyi have gone through too much in this story, and Yi Qingyi has the right to speak, and his brother-in-law is also a good person, but in the end, there is no reward. Exameng sighed and comforted. Sister, don't be sad, I'm sorry. I'm very satisfied to meet you and talk to you at this time. Lilinger wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and took off his mask. When his face was revealed, the 4 women were stunned for a moment. Yi Qingyi whispered, Sister, why do I feel that you look like a star? I think it's too similar, too. And Bai came close to Li Ling'er and reached out to pinch Li Ling'er's face to see if it was a fake. Sun Ting exclaimed, "Are you Li Ling'er?" Shi Meng felt that Tang Zi was very lucky. There were so many doors that could not be opened, but Li Ling'er was the only one who opened this door. Moreover, Li Ling'er's appearance was no worse than theirs, and even had the blessing of a star. Which man wouldn't want to take advantage of it? Own. If people outside knew that Li Ling'er lived here, I'm afraid the place would be robbed to pieces. She can survive until now thanks to living in the villa area, where she doesn't have contact with anyone here. If it were changed to a community, she would have been there long ago. It was played badly, yes. Li Ling'er felt that Yi Qingyi and others had no ill intentions, so she faced it calmly. Can you sign your autograph for me? I like you very much. Xiao Bai immediately exclaimed with joy. He had only seen it on TV before, but today he actually saw it in person. Ximeng smiled, and she would immediately become the owner of whatever signature he asked for. At this time, Tangs was about to dig through the villa. Not to mention the food, he found even a cockroach. So Tang Zi had to accept the fact that this girl was really a good person. It's incredible. What are you talking about? Tang Zi came over and said with a smile. When he saw Li Ling'er looking back, Tang Zi froze on the spot. As a passionate man, how could I not have seen this face on my mobile phone, or even the AI version? But suddenly I found out how the live version of Li Ling'er was worse than them. It was as if she was malnourished, and her skin was not that shiny. Look at Sun Ting's skin, it could be broken by a blow, and it was as white as jade. I guess I didn't eat a few good meals to be like this. After replenishing my body, my appearance will not be inferior to them. Are you Li Ling'er? Li Ling'er looked at Tang Zi and nodded, yes. The other 4 girls cast you lucky looks, and you can meet Li Ling'er. You are simply the master of romantic encounters. Tang Zi originally thought he was just a small star, but he never thought he would be a big star like Li Ling'er. But why don't you come to harm me? If you harm me, then I have a reason to enlighten you and help you get on the right track. I'm your fan. Tang smiled helplessly, walked aside and leaned on the sofa. Shi Meng looked at Tang Zi and felt that Tang Zi was a little strange. Why don't you take action now? Not only Shi Meng thought so, but the other 3 women also thought so. But Tangs couldn't do anything to a good person, so he opened the door to her and had to reward her with a year's worth of supplies. Thank you. Are you all from the same community? Li Ling'er asked curiously. It's nice to have someone to talk to, otherwise he would have committed suicide due to depression. Tang Zi pointed at Sun Ting and the other 3 girls, and then said to Shi Meng, we are from the same community, and then we ran to her community, but they rioted and escaped with them. Alas, many people died. Oh my god, you guys are so awesome. You can actually run out. Li Ling'er couldn't believe it. It felt amazing that Tang Zi could run out with 4 girls. After all, he felt that Tang Zi was gentle and gentle. Tang Zi stretched out his hands and approached the fireplace and asked curiously, why do you live here alone? I came to attend a business performance as a guest, and the organizer arranged for me to rest here for a night, so I was trapped. Tang Zi said oh and then said nothing. Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting looked at each other. The master is a little abnormal. Could it be that he is a little timid when he meets the goddess in his heart? How about we become villains? Where are you going? Li Ling'er asked curiously, warming her hands in the heat. Ximeng replied, we are going to Yunhai City. Yunhai City, it's more than 400 kilometers away. Do you want to walk or drive? That's right, it seems you can't drive now. Tang Zi suddenly stood up, interrupted the topic and said, how about eating something first? I have nothing to eat, really. Li Ling'er thought Tang Zi asked her to get something to eat, so she hurriedly explained. Looking at Li Ling'er's pitiful appearance, Tang Zi smiled bitterly and said, I didn't ask you to get food. I have food. I'll go get the car over. We can't do magic directly. After all, we are not familiar with Li Ling'er, but we must keep our word and agree that there will be no less supplies for a year. Li Ling'er was very surprised. She watched Tang Zi put on protective clothing and go out. Not long after, he saw a fierce Maibach approaching. Oh my god. Li Ling'er covered her mouth and was stunned. It felt like this car ran out of a science fiction movie. Not only Li Ling'er, but also the people in several surrounding villas were looking here with surprise and greed in their eyes. If they robbed this car, they wouldn't be trapped here. Because the car is relatively high, it cannot be backed into the garage and can only be parked outside the garage. Let me go and help, Li Ling'er said and was about to help, but was held back by and by. Yi Qingyi smiled and said, no need for help, we girls can't lift it. That's so embarrassing. Nothing, sorry, don't think too much. Sun Ting patted Li Ling'er's shoulder and found that it was too rare to have such a girl. After all, she had never seen the world and still maintained the state of mind before the apocalypse. Even in hell on earth, one would not be so naive. Tangs deliberately stayed in the garage for a while before entering the house. It's almost done. Let's see what we can eat for lunch. When Li Ling'er came to the garage and took a look, she could fit a large ham into her small mouth. More than 40 boxes of mineral water were piled aside, and there were a lot of food next to them, from snacks to fresh meat, fruits, and even red wine and skin care products are all available. Li Ling'er rubbed her eyes and couldn't believe that all this was real. No, could that car hold so many things? You guys haven't come to choose yet. Tang Zi curled his lips and called Tiantian's master. He didn't know how to let the master win and be happy. He was not sensible at all. Shi Meng pulled Li Ling'er and smiled, let's go together. You can take whatever you want to eat. Just think of it as the cost of our stay. You can choose it yourself. Don't be embarrassed. Tang Zi opened a bottle of happy water. It was tons, comfortable. After thinking for a while, Li Ling'er said seriously, then let me do it. I can't eat your food in vain. Also, Sun Ting said softly, let me help you. No, just go and rest. Tell me what you want to eat and I'll see what I can do. Tangs joked, I didn't expect that a big star is also a cook. Brother, it's funny, if it doesn't taste good, don't scold me. That's not the case. Tang Zi smiled. He wanted to see if Li Ling'er would have any bad thoughts after taking out so many supplies. If he had even the slightest bad thoughts, he would punish you on behalf of justice. However, soon, Tangs wanted to be in the hot tub, and he could be as honest as he wanted. He packed lunch by himself, and instantly transformed into a little cook, cutting up a delicate fruit plate and bringing it to him. Brother Tang, sisters, eat some fruit. Li Ling'er, who was wearing an apron, seemed to look better. She didn't have the high profile of a star at all. Instead, she looked like a servant, serving everyone. Shi Meng kept looking at Li Ling'er. From the moment she cut the fruit with the fruit knife, she didn't eat any of it. If it were me, I would have been hungry for so long and would secretly eat one no matter what. Such a girl would be a bit unsuitable for my team. Thinking of this, Shi Meng suddenly understood that Tang Zi suddenly became a lot quieter. He was still very excited when he came here. Everyone was discussing which celebrity in the car. When they found out that Li Ling'er had not been changed by the apocalypse, they changed their minds. After all, we women have more or less selfish calculations in the past, wanting to take advantage of Tang Zi, but Li Ling'er doesn't seem to have it. Maybe she doesn't know how chaotic it is outside. What we often eat, you should eat more, it is full of vitamins. Yi Qingyi smiled. This smile was extremely gentle in Li Ling'er's eyes, like a caring big sister, and his heart was filled with emotion for a long time. No one cares so much about themselves. 2 lines of moved tears also flowed from my eyes, thank you. Don't be like this, good people will still be rewarded. Tang Zi said with a smile, feeling that the world has not completely fallen. There are still good people like Li Ling'er, but how long can those good people live? Li Ling'er only took a slice of orange. I'm going to cook first, but there's no electricity. There is self-heating rice in that supply, go look for it. Tang Zi said. Okay, I get it. As Li Ling'er went to look for him, the 4 women looked at Tang Zi at the same time, their eyes were very strange. Why are you looking at me like that? There's something wrong with your thinking again. Tang Zi wanted to make severe criticism. Shi Meng approached Tang Zi and exhaled like orchid. Master, why don't you bring such a stunning beauty in to warm the bed? She's different from you. She's not bad enough to fit in. Yi Qingyi pouted her red lips and said, I'm not bad either. I wasn't robbed by you, my master. You're not bad. I saved you and you just walked away. How can such a good thing happen? Simon smiled evilly and said, This time I stand with the master and condemn your behavior of not repaying kindness. Yi Qingyi can only admit defeat. What you said is reasonable, I was wrong, okay. Then Li Ling'er has also collected so many supplies, how can he repay him? Xiao Bai asked curiously. Tang Zi immediately knocked on Anbai's forehead. Silly, she opened the door and let us stay, and we are the ones repaying her. Besides, I've already said that if anyone opens the door and doesn't mean to harm us, they will give us supplies. Master, Xiao Bai will be knocked stupid by you. Sun Ting joked. Indeed, the more you knock, the stupider you get. Like a silly Bashan, Yi Qingyi also slapped him with a knife, which made Xiao Bai so angry that he could even have a bottle of oil hanging from his mouth. When they heard Li Ling'er's footsteps coming back, the five of them also stopped chatting. Almost an hour and a half later, Li Ling'er made 7 dishes and 1 soup. Tang Zi didn't have an attitude of eating it at first, but he didn't expect that the quality was pretty good, especially the braised pork ribs, which were ruddy in color and looked very appetizing. There is also the chicken stewed with mushrooms. The chicken has a strong aroma, and the plate of beef fried with garlic sprouts. She is really a good cook. I haven't cooked for a while. I'm a bit rusty. I'm sorry. Li Ling'er stood aside and wiped his hands and said modestly. Well done. Then sit down, don't stand. This is related to the issue of rules. Tang Zi still needs to speak up. In front of outsiders, please don't let me eat on my hands and knees, otherwise I will become a perverted maniac. Everyone, please sit down. After speaking, Tang Zi gave a threatening look. Although he would not take away Li Ling'er, he still wanted to maintain his image. Sun Ting and Anbai both felt that they hadn't sat down to eat for a long time, and they were a little unaccustomed to it. After bringing the last bowl of soup to the table, Li Ling'er asked, Brother Tang, do you want something to drink? I'll pour it for you. If you don't want to drink, stop working and sit down and eat. Yes, Ling'er, come and eat. It's hard work for you to cook. Sun Ting pulled Li Ling'er and sat down on the chair, which made Li Ling'er feel embarrassed. Yi Qingyi stood up and said with a smile, I'm going to get a bottle of red wine. I'll go. Li Ling'er shouted immediately, but was held down by Sun Ting again. Tang Zi sighed in his heart, why can't such a good girl be a little bad? I don't blame you for having bad thoughts. Soon Sun Ting brought a bottle of red wine and poured it on one after another. Cheers, I finally got to see the big star in person today. Tang Zi said cheerfully. I'm not a big star now. If I hadn't met you, I would have starved to death in a few days. Ximeng smiled and said, Sister, with these supplies, you can survive for 2 years if you save a little. Thank you sister, thank you, I'll do it. After speaking, Li Ling'er drank directly. Sun Ting laughed. My sister has a good drinker, so I will do the same. Then I'll be one too. Xiao Bai also joined in the fun. Tang Zi was also convinced. Drink less, I don't want to pick up corpses. Why don't you come and have a drink with us? You. A bottle of red wine obviously couldn't satisfy them, so they just brought a box over, as if they would never get drunk again. Tangs, on the other hand, does not drink alcohol at all, mainly because the red wine is not very tasty and is not as good as happy water. After 3 rounds of drinking, the girls were all a little tipsy. They were all stunningly beautiful and even took out their mobile phones to take photos. Sister, can I borrow your mobile phone to make a call? Of course. Ximeng handed the phone to Li Ling'er. Li Ling'er wanted to call a neighbor in her hometown, but the call went out. The user you dialed is not in the service area. Why can't I get through? Li Ling'er frowned, but he could get through before. Sun Ting said, there has been no signal in many areas recently, and it is estimated that all communications will be interrupted soon. Oh, that's it. Li Ling'er returned the phone to Ximeng. Ximeng raised his glass again and shouted, if you have wine today, you will get drunk today, live in the moment. That's good, live in the moment. Tang Zi drank a glass of red wine as he stood up. The meal lasted for 2 hours, and I spent 1.5 hours drinking, looking at the wine bottles on the floor, and now I started singing and dancing on the sofa. Even Li Ling'er sang along, as if to vent his emotions. Seeing the 5 women noisy in the living room, Tang Zi took out his mobile phone and took a photo of them as a souvenir. After all, at this moment, I also felt the happiness I had not seen for a long time. It was not a master and slave, but a simple friendship. But I have to say, if it wasn't the end of the world, how could I sit here, eat with these proud women, and watch their embarrassing state after drinking? Come and play with us. And Bai shouted towards Tang Zi. Tang Zi shook his head. You guys can play, I won't come. Come on, come on. Sun Ting and Yi Qingyi went up and dragged her over. They turned into innocent little virgins, not to mention how fierce they were when they get us. However, Tang Zi soon discovered that these women pushed him hard towards Li Ling'er. They were really uneasy and kind-hearted. Li Ling'er was even embarrassed to see her. How different are you female hooligans? When they were tired from playing, everyone gathered around the fireplace to keep warm. I haven't been this happy for a long time. Yi Qingyi murmured while looking at the fire in the fireplace. Me too, Sun Ting whispered. Xiaobai has fallen asleep. Although Xi Meng didn't say anything, today was indeed a special day, mainly because Li Ling'er, a kind-hearted girl, made everyone relax their vigilance. Li Ling'er leaned next to Xi Meng, looking at the flames with her beautiful eyes. Her pretty face started to glow, not as weak as before. What are you thinking about? Simon asked curiously. It's nothing, Li Ling'er said quietly. She was indeed happy today, but she would still be alone tomorrow. Xi Meng gently stroked Li Ling'er's back. If you have anything to say, just say it. Don't hold it in your heart. Can I leave with you? Li Ling'er said weakly, with a hint of pleading. Before Xi Meng could say anything, Tang Zi smiled and said, those supplies will be enough for you to use for a year. By then, the apocalypse may be over and the previous order will be restored. I know my request is a bit excessive, but it's okay if I can cook for you, wash clothes, and do some chores. I really don't want to stay here alone. As he said this, Li Ling'er couldn't control his emotions. Fortunately, Xi Meng comforted me. Tang Zi never expected that after eating a meal and dancing around after drinking, she would take the initiative to join in. Our team is not suitable for you. You will be more comfortable if you stay here, Tang's advised. They have to provide themselves with energy tanks every day, and sometimes they have to act as thugs. The work is very intensive. I'm very adaptable, Tang Zi sighed and said directly. Li Ling'er, to tell you the truth, we have killed a lot of bad guys. It is not safe for you to follow us, you know. Bad people deserve to die. I also want to kill bad people and avenge my parents. Let me ask, does this big star drink too much fake wine? Why does he have to follow me? Seeing that Tang Zi was silent, Li Ling'er suddenly stood up and came to Tang Zi. Brother Tang, take me away, I will be your woman. This may be Li Ling'er's only trump card, which is herself. It seems you are drunk, Tang Zi said with a frown. No. After saying that, he directly pushed Tang Zi to the ground, and his red lips occupied Tang Zi's mouth. This shocked the three women next to them. The owner of such a fierce celebrity was actually forcibly kissed. And Bai woke up slowly at this time and looked at the scene in front of him. It turns out that I am still dreaming. Let me go back to sleep. I have to say that the feeling of being forcibly kissed by a big star was very subtle, but Tang Zi still pushed Li Ling'er away. Are you sick? I don't need you to be my woman. No, you just responded to me, Li Ling'er retorted. That's a man's physiological reaction. Don't be unreasonable. I'm angry and you don't get a good lesson. Tang Zi's face suddenly turned cold. Xi Meng quickly pulled Li Ling'er away. You will only make him unhappy. And Li Ling'er was also frightened by Tang Zi's attitude. Tears fell down her face. She had shamelessly kissed a man forcibly, even for the first time. She begged to take her away, but she was ruthlessly rejected. Could it be that your body has no value at all? He obviously gave himself hope, but then crushed his hope. It would be better to let himself wait for death silently. Li Ling'er suddenly ran towards the door, opened the door and rushed out, obviously intending to commit suicide. I guess it's the same as you. Tang Zi looked at Xi Meng and said. These words made Xi Meng feel ashamed. He chose the latter between dying with dignity, and yet he had to pretend to be dying. Thinking about it at that time, it was quite embarrassing. Yi Qingyi and Sun Ting thought the same way. Everyone wanted to die, but when it came time to die, they didn't dare. Just when everyone thought Li Ling'er was about to break, Li Ling'er jumped into the rain. People in the room looked at Li Ling'er in disbelief. She really dared to jump. She actually did something that no one dared to do. Anyone who is not a woman like Tangzi would rather die. I go. That's charming. Li Ling who jumped out with her eyes closed, felt no pain on her body at all, and she didn't even feel that she was caught in the rain. He slowly opened his eyes and saw why he was still under the eaves. Didn't he jump out? Do you really want to die? Why don't you just stay here and wait for rescue? Tangzi stood behind him and said, smoking a cigarette, I'm not a good person, and you, a good girl, shouldn't fall like this. Li Ling bit her red lips and whispered, have you ever lost your parents? Exhaling a puff of smoke, Tangzi said lightly, I am an orphan. Li Ling was stunned for a moment and said silently, I lost my parents. As a daughter, I can only hide here and survive. I can't avenge them. I might as well reunite with them early. Haha, then why did you wait until now? Why don't you die earlier? Li Ling looked at the modified Maybach next to the garage. Because of you, you showed me the hope of revenge. If you can escape with your sisters and the others, you must have your own means, and there are so many supplies. This car must not be able to fit them. And it's impossible for ordinary people to have protective clothing like yours. You are very smart. I thought you were as stupid as Xiao Bai. Li Ling turned to look at Tangzi and said seriously, I can be a fool, as long as I can get revenge. Are you negotiating terms with me? Tangzi frowned slightly, originally thinking that Li Ling was trying to save herself and others without any purpose, but it seemed that she also had Xiao Juju in her heart. Tangzi raised his delicate chin and sighed, to be honest, you made me a little disappointed. I am no longer a big star, and I have no backer. The only thing I can rely on is this body. I can do what my sisters can do. Did you see it? Sisters always look at you and nod when they sit down to eat. It feels like you don't have a normal relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend, but more like a superior-subordinate relationship. Tangzi smiled. He really underestimated other people's insight, and he guessed pretty well. Are you so sure that you can avenge your parents? If you can't, won't you lose this body? That's better than waiting to die. Besides, there are always profits and losses in business. Haha, that makes sense. Li Ling nails were about to dig into her flesh as she whispered, then have we reached a deal? How can it be considered a deal without inspecting the goods? I'm very clean, no one has touched me. Li Ling gritted her teeth, and she could still say such shy words. After hearing this, Tangzi smiled. Everyone in the room said it was their first time. He got closer and smelled it. It smells a bit strange. I like women who smell good. If I inspect the goods like this, I want to return it. I want to take a bath too, but there is no water. After saying this, Li Ling neck turned red. Who doesn't want to be a sweet-smelling girl? Now that there is water, you can go and wash yourself off. Okay, I'll go now. I'll wait for you in the master bedroom on the 3rd floor. After saying that, Li Ling lowered her head and ran into the house. She had just said all the most embarrassing words in her life, but for revenge, this could be considered what? Seeing Li Ling running into the house, Tangzi flicked the cigarette butt away. In the end, everyone else was thinking about it from the moment he entered the house. Let's just say that there are no simple-minded people in this world, let alone asking for help for no reason. They are all to achieve their own goals, even Li Ling is no exception. I am happy that I have such a big star woman like Li Ling but I am not happy that I have such a big star woman like Li Ling Alas, let's go inspect the goods first. Walking into the room, Sun Ting made a 90-degree bow. Congratulations, master. Yi Qingyi, and Bai, and Shimeng also bowed and Zhao Didi shouted, congratulations, master. I really suspect that you are teaching others bad things. Tangzi felt that Li Ling changed too quickly without any warning before. We don't, absolutely not. I just want to congratulate the master on his stunning joy. Here comes another one to share the damage. Quote. Half an hour later, Tangzi came to the master bedroom and saw Li Ling on the bed, shaking from the cold. Don't you know how to turn on the air conditioner? Tangzi picked up the remote control, turned on the air conditioner, adjusted the heating to maximum, and turned on the lights. Did you get a call? Li Ling exclaimed. Tang shook his head, sat on the edge of the bed and said calmly, I just made a generator. I didn't want to do it at first. After all, when the lights in your villa turn on, those people around you will definitely come to trouble you. Hearing Tang Zi's caring words, he felt warm in his heart, but he also smiled bitterly and said, "Your car is parked there, which is already a problem. If you leave, I probably won't survive long. Are you blaming me?" Li Ling'er slowly lowered his head. "Keep your head up." Li Ling'er slowly raised her head and looked into Tang Zi's aggressive eyes, with a blush on her pretty face. "It is indeed a beautiful face. I can barely accept it," Tang Zi said lightly as his fingers touched the soft red lips. Hearing this, Li Ling'er immediately breathed a sigh of relief, but was he so reluctant? Although he was no longer a big star, he still had this face that he was proud of. "Now you can come over and kiss me." "Ah," Li Ling'er suddenly exclaimed. "Don't boys usually take the initiative? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."